Alright YouTube, here we go. Welcome to the third place game of the 2v2 World Cup over here. We're gonna have Spain with Lan and Tato versus Dogao and Miguel. The players have already finished drafting the maps and civilizations, and the games will commence in approximately 2 or 3 minutes. So here is the map draft. Brazil is playing Ghost Lake, Team Islands, and the Valley as their home maps. Spain will be bringing in Scandinavian, Nomad, and Chaos Pit. The bans are Arena and Golden Pit on the two teams. And here are the civilization drafts. One thing that's interesting to point out and something to remember is that Brazil is going to have both Franks and Khmer available. So Spain went for a Saracen ban, somewhat surprisingly, because I would have assumed that Tato loves to play with Saracens. But they went for a Saracen ban, but this means that Khmer was actually here, and well, Spain decided to snipe Britons instead of Khmer. We'll see if that backfires or not. Both of the teams have a fairly balanced lineup of civilizations, I would say. I think that Spain is a little bit low on cavalry civs. They have Lithuanians, they have Slavs, they have Huns and Persians available, but for best of 7, that's a little bit low. Berbers could be a cavalry civ as well for them, of course. Spanish is going to be a Nomad, and on Nomad you don't necessarily need a cavalry civ, so you can actually classify it as one as well over there, and that would be 6. And I guess you don't necessarily need a cavalry civ on Scandi either if you're playing Mongol, so that would be something as well we could consider. Or Portuguese could be used as a cavalry civ. Still, their situation with cavalry civs isn't perfect. I think it's something that they can work with. It's just a matter of it could be better for them. Basically, all the civilizations are either picked or banned with the exception of one, and that is always going to be Turks, because Turks are just an absolute junk in this old patch they're using. So it is important to keep in mind they're still using the October patch of Definitive Edition, which means Tatars haven't been buffed, and yeah, that's just something to keep in mind. And it appears that all the players are in the lobby, and the games will start very soon. We'll be starting with Arabia, and while we're waiting for players to actually launch the game, Arabia is probably gonna be Franks and Chinese for Brazil, if I had to predict. Other side, you could go Ethiopians and Huns or Mayans and Huns. Both of those work actually pretty nicely on Arabia. For the teams, Team Islands is likely going to be maybe Italians for Spain, but I can see Berbers working out, because Italians might be something that Spain saves for Nomad. In fact, against Norway, Spain went Italians and Spanish on Nomad. So we'll see. They could also go Portuguese on Team Island. So the versatility is there for Spain. Indeed, as we're looking at some predictions on the chat, my predictions for this series is 4-2 for Spain. And interesting to see that some people actually think that China is going to win over Norway. My personal thought about this is that I think that Norway is going to 4-2 China. But it's an awfully close series, so we'll see how that actually shapes out. And according to Robo, the games are going to start in a matter of seconds. We are going to be rolling with a 3-minute spectator delay, and indeed, the game has launched, so we can actually jump inside and take a look at the civilizations with what is going to be a very interesting lineup of civs. Kind of surprising, I have to say. Didn't expect this one to happen. Magyars and Aztecs for Dogao and Miguel versus Tatars and Slavs. We have seen how Spain tried to use Tatars and Huns, I believe, against Norway. But it didn't work out because Tato died to a Drosh very, very hard. So Tato was so dead that he just wasn't a factor in the entire game, and that pretty much lost them the game. On the other side, we have an Aztec play that's going to be interesting to look at, because Aztecs don't have Thumb Ring, and that makes them a kind of poor archer civ. And you would assume that when you pick Magyars, you want to capitalize on the early power spike in like early Castle Age, let's say. So go heavy on the knights, but for that you would need a civ that can get like a fast Thumb Ring or some kind of archer advantage in combat capabilities. And the reason why is because you're trying to, like, the Magyar player isn't going to have a great eco. It's going to have a great Knights play in early Castle Age though, and you want to support that with strong archers so you can decide battles in early Castle Age and give yourself a huge advantage. So I don't necessarily like the synergy between these two civilizations. I just feel like their playstyles are completely different. And currently, I feel like Aztecs for Dogao might... It kind of feels like, okay, let's have an archer civ that we don't want to use elsewhere. But yeah, it's probably one of the bottom tier archer civs in a 2v2 setup currently. Other side, TaToH's Tatars is also going to be interesting. The main concern that you always have with Tatars is that they don't have Arblast. So no matter how hard you are going for crossbows, you will have to make a tech switch into Cav Archers at some point or turn it into a sling. But the main problem with slinging a LAN here with Slavs is that you're going to sling LAN into Cavaliers and not Paladins. And that could be a problem. If LAN was a Paladin civ, you could actually make an argument for slinging him to Paladins once, like, TaToH could start slinging after mid to late Castle Age, and then sling LAN into a bunch of Paladins. But that isn't gonna work when you don't have Paladin on your civ, so that's also, in my perspective, a little bit lack of a synergy between the two civilizations of Spain. We'll see how that goes. Alright, so here we go. In 10 seconds, we'll be jumping into the third place game of 2v2 World Cup. And Brazil versus Spain. Both teams were actually very, very good candidates, and a lot of them predicted these teams to become semi-finalists or maybe even grand finalists. They are here in the third place match. They lost the previous round to Norway and China, respectively. And we have an immediate pause. Wonderful. So, Miguel playing as Magyars in blue, and we're gonna have Dogao as Aztecs in green. His teammate, well, not his teammate because it's the opponent, TaToH is going to be playing Tatars in red, and LAN is playing Slavs in yellow. So, well, quick look at the maps over here. We are gonna have a pretty nice little base here for TaToH, to be honest. In fact, this is a perfect map for TaToH. Easy wall-offs, the gold is safe, the berries are relatively safe. He's a little bit open from the left side, but this is nothing that he cannot wall off, to be honest. And nice wood lines at the back. Not very, very thick wood lines, so they could be actually harassed by archers. But from what I've seen in 2v2 World Cup in Arabian map generations, this is a perfect map for TaToH. You got LAN. His map isn't that amazing, but it's not impossible to defend. It is a little bit questionable where he's gonna wall, but I can see him walling like here, securing that gold. He could actually wall here and here easily, and I could actually make an argument for walling like this and this, because that would secure a lot of space at the back for you, and it's not necessarily harder to defend than walling like this. In fact, this is a lot more investment than walling like this and this. You could just wall here and here. You can place your barracks stable over here, so you should have no trouble, and you can just easily wall this one off, and this should be no trouble as well for the Gao. He's actually... no, this is LAN, but yeah, he's gonna be playing 6 stables. Now, LAN is actually only on 7 villagers, but that is because he went for a very early loom here. Now, this is surprising. LAN went for a super fast loom, and the only reasonable explanation would be if he got housed somehow. I'm not sure why or how that happened, because that shouldn't have happened. But I guess it's going to be helpful for safety. Maybe he wants to make sure that their opponents don't gang up on their villagers and kill them early on. Because one of the things that Norway, and both China and Norway actually did very frequently in their games, is that they team up their scouts and go for a very aggressive play to try and snipe an early villager, gain an upper hand. So this early loom might actually benefit LAN in the long run. Meanwhile, Miguel's Magyars... he's gonna have a reasonable map as well. The wood lines aren't great. In fact, this lumber camp is actually pretty unlucky for him. Easy wall off here and here if he wishes to do that. The right side is a little bit more problematic because you would actually want to wall here and here, but that would force you to abandon that wood line, and I think that is a restart from Miguel. Not a fan of this. Using up your restart in the first game is not something that you want to see, especially with TaToH very, very close to running into the TC fire of Dogao over here. Dogao's map was actually relatively reasonable. Now, of course, as I said, Miguel's map is bad, so I understand the restart. But on the other hand, it's only one restart available for both teams. So you have pretty much just given up your restart on the first map, where you are still going to have Nomad. And on Nomad, I think a restart is more valuable on Nomad than it is on Arabia, because you can get a lot more unlucky with Nomad generation than you can with Arabia. So in a best of 7, using up the restart in the first game, this might backfire for Brazil. Because indeed, Miguel's map is bad, but it's not something that's like awfully bad, to be honest. He could work with this one, and there is a chance that the things are just gonna get way worse now that they can't call restart. And the thing is that if they can't call restart, TaToH and Lan can just go very aggressive and pretty much try to snipe vultures very early on, because their opponents don't have a restart. So they just can't call it. Finals at 17 GMT, and that's the question. Finals will start when this series ends, as far as I know. Probably around 17 GMT is reasonable, but probably a little bit later if you ask me. I wouldn't expect it to start before 17:30, because this series is gonna be at least 2 hours long, but probably a little bit more. Anyways, here we go once again. 1 minute remaining from the spec delay. Brazil has used up their restart, so let's see if TaToH and Lan will try to capitalize on that by trying to snipe some vultures. Once again, Slavs and Tatars versus Aztecs and Magyars are going to be the civilization lineup for this one. So, once again, the third place player gets $3,000, or third place team. The second place team gets $2,200, so there's an $800 difference in the prize money of the third place and the second place. And of course, they all want to reach a slightly better position in the tournament. But, well, let's be honest, both of these teams were actually eyeing on getting into the finals, but it didn't work out for them. China and Norway were proven to be better than these teams, and they are going to be in the finals. And with that in mind, we are going to have game number 1 up once again. First restart has already been used up by Brazil. Spain is still going to retain their own restart in this one. So, in this new generation, we're going to have Miguel as Magyars in blue on the right side. Left side is DaToH in green. We're going to have Lan and yellow as Slavs. And right side is going to be TaToH as Tatars in red. And honestly, TaToH's map is actually way worse than it used to be in the previous one. So, in the previous one, TaToH had a good map. This one is actually pretty bad. None of the gold mines are safe. This one is actually pretty bad overall. The berries aren't nice. It's pretty hard to vault. It has a nice little wood line at the back. So, it's not impossible to defend this map, but it's way worse than it used to be for TaToH. For Lan, he's got back berries. Honestly, Lan's map is also a little bit worse, but it's actually a reasonable map. He can void off here, 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 and here. He's gonna have stone and berries at the back, alongside a gold mine as well. And he's gonna have to scout that gold mine. That's actually pretty important, because you don't need this gold mine immediately. You can just TC this one later on, so you can work with this one and void yourself off in feudal age. DaToH's base, honestly, this is way worse for DaToH than it used to be. And remember, it was Brazil calling the restart. So, yes, Miguel had a bad map in the previous game, but this actually makes DaToH's map even worse. The berries are open, they are on a hill, which is very bad, because when the opponent comes here with archers, they will even have the hill advantage. So, fighting them off is harder. Stone close in the middle of nowhere. This gold isn't great either. At least it's in the direction of Miguel and not on the front. So, I guess it's not impossible to defend this one for DaToH, but this is a bad map for him. And honestly, it's probably worse for Miguel than it used to be as well. So it turns out that their call on the restart is not really going to be helping them. In fact, it's going to be hurting them. And now they can only hope that Spain calls their restart, because Spain doesn't have great maps either. But honestly, I think that Brazil's maps are worse now. So this is a doable wall off for Miguel, but he's going to have to wall a lot here. In fact, he might just wall like this. And Brazil gets lucky. It is Spain calling the restart now. In this case, both teams use up the restart in the first game, and that means that we are gonna have no restarts remaining for either team. Interesting. From one side, it's actually good, because we're not going to see any more restarts. From the other side, well, 2 restarts in the first game, and we're gonna have to wait for the spec delay once again to count down. But no more restarts are available, and that's gonna be very interesting to look at on Nomad, because, well, that means that they will have to play whatever they get on Nomad. And now both of the teams are able to just go and play very aggressive and try to snipe villagers early on because none of the opponents can actually call a restart. Well, yeah, this is the drawback of live games, but we all know this, right? So, if you have seen competitive H1 pairs before, you know that with live games comes live restarts, and honestly, we can be thankful that it's only 1 restart per team. Because I've seen best of 7 sets with like 2 or 3 restarts, and that's a disaster. So, on Wobbly times, we actually had a lot more restarts in tournaments. Now it's pretty low. In fact, most hosts are now trying to eliminate the restart option from their tournaments completely. In fact, I want to point something out that I didn't so far, by the way. This is the final day of the 2v2 World Cup, but this is also a very important day for another reason. This is TaToH's birthday. So, in case you bump into TaToH's stream at some time, be sure to wish him happy birthday, because today is the birthday of one of the best Brazilian players, TaToH. So, let's see if he can actually get himself a nice little birthday present by winning the 3rd place match over here. Thankfully, there isn't going to be more restarts, so we will be jumping into game number number 1. Yeah, it's not lucky that you have your birthday close to Christmas. It's just never good. I mean, it's still a couple of days away from Christmas, so I guess it's better to be born on the 21st of December than it is to be born on the 24th, 25th. But it is what it is. Alright, so Miguel is gonna play Magyars for the 3rd time today on this Arabia in blue. TaToH is green Aztecs. We have TaToH as red Tatars and Lan as yellow Slavs. So, with that in mind, we are gonna have a rather disappointing map. Actually, it's a depends type of a map for Miguel. It's technically wallable on the left side, but it takes quite a lot of effort to wall. The gold at the back is securable. In fact, it's not even a huge wall that he has to make. So this is the map where it's not ideal for Miguel, but that it can work out. Depends on how he's walling and how much he's committing to that. TaToH's map, it's bad. This is a bad map. It's easily wallable, but none of the gold mines are safe, and that actually hurts TaToH quite badly. In fact, the best thing he could do is wall it like this, and then this gold mine could be secured, but it's not easy. I was gone for 5 minutes. Did they have a secondary? Yes. There was a secondary. Now Spain actually called a restart, so no teams have restarts remaining. And it turns out that Spain is actually going to be hurt more with this restart than Brazil was in the previous one, because Lan's map is awful. This gold mine is bad, the berries are bad, this gold mine is even worse. This is just an awful map for Lan. I have no idea how he's gonna wall this. Like, he kind of needs to wall like this, in a diagonal, and then do something with the berries. This is awful. This is awful for Lan. And then you got TaToH, who has unlucky secondary gold spots. This is bad as well. Kind of undefendable at the early stages of the game. Primary gold is reasonable, so TaToH can just wall like this. Wall like this, I guess. And then wall like this and wall like this. But it takes quite a lot of effort from everybody to wall their base. And let's see, we're gonna have TaToH pinging the location of Miguel's base over here. And he is coming in that direction. Remember, no restarts mean that both of the teams could go very, very aggressive and try to snipe some villagers. And that's exactly what I think Spain is about to do. They will realize that Miguel has only 2 ostriches here, so they should know that Miguel is pushing ostrich with his scout, not coming forward for the time being. TaToH is scouting the back of his base, and interesting placement of those 2 houses. Not something that you frequently do unless you're Dogao. This is something I always like to point out with Dogao. He uses a slightly different build order, and he is making the 2 houses with the villager that comes out right after the first board villager. And the reason why he's making these houses over here is because this build order requires you to build the 2 houses with the villager that's coming for the second elephant, and you need to build these close to the elephant. This is the disadvantage that you're getting from this build order, because these houses are kind of useless. You don't want to wall the back of your base first, you want to wall the front of your base first. Anyways, scouts are up here for TaToH and Lan as well. There is no isolated villager over here right now for Miguel, even though this villager is dangerously exposed. And remember that TaToH got punished pretty hard by Norway in the early game, and I believe that they are trying to do the exact same thing. In fact, they're not going for the isolated villager. That's weird. They could have seen this will over here, and that's a perfect target to snipe. For now, they're just running around. And meanwhile, TaToH, oh, that's so bad for TaToH. The goat getting killed in the middle of nowhere. An early loom is coming in here for TaToH, so he wants to make sure he doesn't lose that villager to scouts. Remember that you can still lose a villager with loom to 2 scouts, so if Dogao and Miguel team their scouts up, this could still be doable. And we're gonna have what is basically, theoretically, it's a perennial drush, but it's a little bit late to that. So it's more like, the timing of this is more like a standard drush for Dogao over here. And in the meanwhile, Lan has no scouting information on the base of Dogao. Now they're going for him, but I think they are going to miss the drush coming in, and this could actually surprise Lan over here. The eagle is already lurking around. Lan on the way towards Feudal Age, playing standard 21 pop scouts. Miguel is going up at 20 pop. He did push in deer with Magyars to be able to facilitate that, and it appears that there's a drush coming in as well from TaToH going towards Dogao. It was interesting to listen to the fact that MBL, for example, for Norway, said that he likes to drush the archers player in the majority of the cases. So he is bringing in the militias, well, it's not MBL, but it's TaToH, bringing the militias as well to the archers player, and they're trying to keep this hole open with the scouts, and guess what? This forces Dogao to fall back with his own drush. Now, this drush from TaToH isn't really going to achieve much, but I believe that it's just a standard drush FC now for TaToH. We got Miguel coming in here with the Magyar scouts. He's gonna have the cheaper scouts, and he's gonna have the extra attack on them, so they will be super dangerous against Lan scouts. I feel like Lan needs to be well walled, otherwise he could be in trouble. Because of this, hill in front of the barriers of Dogao is not nice, because TaToH could just go for the hill and try to gain advantage that way. Let's see this scout fight. There is the eagle coming in as well. TaToH was waiting, and I think they're waiting for Lan to get the +2 attack on that scout with the engagement, and now they will try to engage. Miguel has +3 attack now, because he's got the free forging, but his scout is very, very low HP. You don't want to lose your scout in this scenario, and I think Lan will be looking to try and snipe that scout, because it's 1 hit. 5 HP is 1 hit from Lan's scout over here. Meanwhile, we got Miguel coming up with a stable already. Not really a lot of voling from him. And it appears that they will actually be able to snipe a villager here from Dogao. Not sure what happened over here, but that's an easy will pick off for Spain over here. And, well, there is still 2 militias around that can actually try to just trade off HP against these militias. And I believe that at this point, the best thing that Spain could do is like try to snipe the scout of Miguel, because keeping the scout alive is actually quite important. Spain isn't going to be able to break out of this one by any means, because it's fully walled. So their best bet is to like try and take a fight and hope that they can actually win a reasonable fight over here. 1 militia gets killed over here. This is still a tight fight, even though TaToH's militias are fairly low HP. But TaToH doesn't have the extra attack on that scout because he's still Dark Age. So at the end of the day, this is gonna be ending up as an even trade. They will probably try to snipe this Eagle Scout by teaming up on him. Nice poke over there from Dogao, finishing off that low HP scout from Lan. And Lan is already in here with the scouts. Scouts from Miguel heading towards TaToH, who is fully walled, unless he actually screwed up somewhere and made a hole, but don't think that he has a hole anywhere. So TaToH on the way to Feudal Age. And I guess Miguel's gonna have to go towards the base of Lan, who is going for some heavy voling over here. It's quite unlucky that land doesn't see... Actually, he sees this forest. This should be a wall here, because this is still open. It would be much easier to wall it over here instead of walling like this and then walling like this. Anyways, at least land is gonna be safe. I like the fact that he is having a very, very safe gold mine that's going to be helpful in the long run. And let's see if the scouts will just try to force their way into TaToH's base. TaToH going up right now, still running away with that scout. Can he wall this great terrain? Good question. Yes, this is wallable. This is just aesthetics. It's a different type of land. Because that's, I think, meant for Mediterranean maps. But this has it for whatever reason. So Lan is gonna be finished with the walls just in time for him. And it turns out that he is gonna realize, okay, my opponents are full wall going towards Castle Age. So I'm just gonna go towards Castle myself. Look at that. He's already having 14 on food. And now sending villagers to gold, which is a strong clue towards the fact that he's just gonna go for straight Castle Age over here. And just camping back at home with the 2 scouts that he has made. Miguel invested in a little bit more scouts, but he's got cheaper scouts, so I think that the investment between the 2 players are relatively even. But the Slavic farming eco of Lan should actually be able to propel him to a nice little advantage. First to look up to castle will be TaToH, and he will soon be followed by the Gao, who is 1 villager behind of TaToH compared, I believe, yes, because he lost the wall. At the end of the day, these scouts will achieve very, very little. And the tricky thing here for Lan is going to be that he's going to have a comparable Castle Age time compared to Miguel. But Miguel's going to have +2 attack on those knights immediately. And he's going to stonewall his base off. So they know that TaToH is coming with the archers. And that's something that we have frequently seen from the players who are facing a Drush FC here. Just stonewall your base. This is something that I think Yo loves to do. And it's actually a great idea. Because the crossbows get through the palisade walls easily. But they do not get through the stone walls easily. Now that being said, Miguel's stone mines are both exposed to archer's aggression, so this means that Miguel isn't gonna be able to fully stonewall his base and make TCs after that if these are both denied. So he might need to buy some stone to do this. In fact, he isn't going to be able to fully wall his base with stone walls. He's gonna have to drop a market, and like here double layer palisades could actually work out as well. But anyways, first to click up from the cavalry players will be Lan, who is gonna be going up at a nice and comfy 33 villagers. Miguel's at 34, and he isn't far away from clicking up either, but that's Magyar's eco compared to Slav's eco. So the Knight's numbers advantage will be on the side of Lan eventually. And, well, let's see when TaToH moves out. He's very close to reaching Castle Age here, but he doesn't really want to move out. I guess he wants to wait until he has crossbows, because he doesn't want to meet those scouts that already has the +1. Attack. Archers from the Gao on the way towards Lan, but honestly I don't think that they should be able to hit Lan here hard. Although crossbows will be there as well for the Gao, so this is tricky. I like that Miguel stonewalled himself, and Lan didn't really do it. So these archers and scouts could actually get through the walls of Lan over here, which could cause an awful lot of headache for Lan, whereas for the crossbows of TaToH, he isn't really gonna be able to break into the base of Miguel. This is still logged in, although if they get 2 villager kills on this woodland, that's already perfect. Remember, these guys already have Thumbring. Even though they are missing Botkin Arrow, TaToH went for the eco-heavy approach of going Boso instead of Botkin Arrow. But, well, he is gonna be able to pick off no villagers, just idle a few over here. And nice contingency walls for the time being from Lan. Not losing anything. Once he's up to Castle Age, he should be able to get some knights out and deal with this one. So, I feel like Christ is worth it for Lan over here. He's gonna be able to get the knights out. Scouts will run past the TC over here. But, well, eventually, if you get some quick walls up like Lan is doing, he should have no trouble. Yeah, house over there. And when the knights pop out, those scouts will not be able to achieve anything. So, this looks a little bit scary for me, for Lan, but I don't think it's that super scary right now for him. Anyways, TaToH is going to try and hit the Gao's gold mine, and the Gao is already on 2 TCs. Remember, the Aztecs have a pretty strong eco over here. This is pre-patch, or pre-November patch Aztecs, which makes them kind of strong eco civilization. They haven't actually lost or haven't been nerfed just yet, and Miguel actually is going to find a villager to kill. That's actually a nice play from him. Remember, he's got the Bloodlines, +1 defense, and the +2 attack. upgrade already in because Magyars get that for free. So I guess Miguel got some value out of that. And at the end of the day, the land is down to 35 vouchers, Miguel is at 36. So that is a small win over there for Miguel, if you ask me. That being said, Dogao could lose his crossbows here to the knights, and the really tricky question is that Lan is going to have +2 defense but no attack upgrades, whereas if you look at the knights of Miguel, it's going to be +2/+2 very soon, and that's the real strengths that Magyars give you. It seems like Miguel is going to play triple stables over here, dropping the third one. He's waiting with the engagement until he gets +2 defense, but when he gets +2 defense, these guys are going to be bye-bye, because that's going to be a lot of knights with +2/+2, even though these crossbows do have Thumbring. Ballistics on the way for TaToH. He's playing the aggressive approach of going triple ranges, 1 TC play. Lan is going to add the second TC himself, but Dogao is having a crazy boom here. He is on 2 TCs, is going to have University Ballistics in very soon. And let's see what they're going to go for. They're just going to try and knock down those stables, which is understandable. This should be an easily exposed stable over there. 1 villager goes down from Miguel at trying to just re-wall behind. And if you can kill one of those stables, that's going to cripple the production of Miguel a tiny bit, which is always nice to have. If your opponent wants to go triple stables, killing one of the stables definitely helps a tiny bit. And it seems like Brazil isn't really going to contest this one at all. This might backfire quite hard, because I think that they have the numbers. They're trying to bring in the crossbows to this direction, but that's going to be 1 stable killed with relative ease for Brazil here. And, well, knight numbers are increasing for Lan on the field as well. Remember, he's going to have the Slavic farming, so he's going to be able to out-muscle Miguel in terms of knight numbers in the long run if it's 2 stables versus 2 stables. And remember that he's going to have 2 TCs up, 43 villagers, Miguel's at 41 right now, so the eco difference isn't that big, but a lot of farming space is denied, and now the barracks is going down as well. The barracks here isn't really important, to be honest. What is important is that a lot of farming space is denied, and these guys having Thumbring is huge, and here is the weakness of the Aztecs that I talked about so much. No Thumbring at all, which means that they will never be as good as these crossbows are. So the Aztecs will always be forced to take bad engagements over here. Dogao turning into a slinging eco. So that's something I actually expected from him, going Aztecs. So he has a strong eco, but not so strong Arblasts. Technically he could continue to Arbs if he wants to, because he's gonna have Arblasts and TaToH will not. I'm curious what TaToH is planning to do, because TaToH is not gonna have Arblast here. He has Thumbring for free, but no Arblast. He's gonna either have to switch into Cav Archer or switch into Slinging Lan. But if it's a Slink Cavalry player on both sides, I prefer Miguel's position a lot more. Because Miguel's gonna have Paladin available, Miguel's gonna have the attack upgrade in as well once he reaches Imperial, whereas Lan is not gonna have Paladin, which means that, yeah, you can slink him into good Cavalier numbers, but Miguel is gonna stomp with Paladins, if that's the case. Now, that being said, this is a fight that Brazil will have to take. They can't just sit back and chill, because they're going to lose those stables really fast. If you lose your only barrack, can you still build ranges and stables? Yes, you can. You can do it once the building is up. Anyways, that is going to be a huge clash over here. Remember, those knights have +2/+2 from Miguel, only +1 attack from Lan, but that's Thumbring crossbows, landing a lot of fire. And look at the blocks from Lan, that's beautiful. He's just blocking the cavalry from being able to reach the archers, because the main damage dealing unit over here is the crossbows, and that's an excellent fight for Spain over here, if you ask me. They're just stomping Miguel's army. And, like, see? They will have to retreat. At the end of the day, if you look at the losses, you see a bunch of dead cavalry units from blue, not so much from yellow. So it appears that Spain's crossbow play is working out here so well. It's a matter of question now for TaToH, what is he gonna do? And that market coming up implies that he probably is going to get coinage and start slinging Lan into Cavalier, but sling is already coming in for Dogao. So this is gonna get tricky, because that's going to be a lot of cavalry units very soon. Crossbows will still be eaten though, and currently the military numbers are looking better for Spain. Once again, big clash over here. Knights from Lan probably want to disengage from this one, because that's a lot of knights from Miguel. There is actually I think this stable is a new one, and now there are 4 stables for Brazil. Knights are gone from LAN over here. Now the crossbows are diving in, trying to snap the crossbows of the opponent, and it kind of ends up being an even fight. Looking at the eco though, it's much better for Spain. 62 villagers for LAN. He's gonna be slung by TaToH. You can see the coinage coming in here. But he already has a much better eco than Miguel, so it's basically the two slinging players have very, very good ecos, both. In fact, TaToH has a slightly better eco than GL.TaToH does. But it's the cavalry players alone that already have a huge eco advantage over here. And also, if you look at the food eco of Miguel, he's at 11 on food only. Knights trying to surround the crossbows, and TaToH still making some crossbows as reinforcements, try and pressure Miguel in this one. The real question is, when can Miguel get to good knight numbers? Or when can Miguel get to good cavalier numbers with +4 attack? So the imp timing here is going to be clutch, and GL.TaToH is going to tap out. They feel like they're just going to get overrun here, and they might be right. Because the problem here is that these crossbows are likely going to bash into the base of Miguel now. Miguel just isn't able to produce units as fast as he would need to. He's being slung, but he doesn't have the buildings to mass those knights as easily as he wants to. And the crossbows at Tumbring here, especially with the meat shield of the knights from LAN, they're just able to melt those knights pretty easily. And Miguel keeps losing the stables. And, well, might have been a little bit premature GG, but I understand the reasoning behind that for Brazil. Spain takes game number 1 in what is a rather interesting game. So we haven't seen a lot of villagers killed. It wasn't like, okay, Spain running to the eco and killed 20 villagers. It was just fights that were taken and they were better for Spain. And that actually allowed them to push the front of Miguel's base. Miguel lost some space, and that's basically it. I want to credit TaToH for that sick KD. 62 to 39 is just brutal. And once again, we're seeing that, like, Aztecs are just not good as an archer civ in 2v2. GL.TaToH went for a sling, which is the right thing to do here, I believe, because he wouldn't have had the option to really fight against the Tar crossbows with Tumbring anyways. But it's just a matter of having Aztecs is not really going to benefit you in a 2v2 setup. GL.TaToH actually did sling Miguel quite a lot of resources, but it didn't really materialize. Miguel's largest army was 21, Lan's was 24, so they did a nice job at keeping the knight numbers low from Miguel, and that results in game number 1 being won by Spain. So, with that, we're gonna get into game number 2 over here. According to Robo, it has already started. So, let's go. Game number 2. And we have a Ghost Lake. Usually, what I've actually observed is that Ghost Lake is played a lot later than many of the maps. So, usually Ghost Lake is brought in for decider games, or like game number 4, game number 5, not game number 2. Of course, this is just a tendency I observed, and not something that really has to be a factor when they decide maps. And what we're gonna have is Teutons and Chinese versus Huns and Ethiopians. Interesting. I think the Huns pick here for LAN is more like the, okay, we need a cavalry civ. What is a good cavalry civ here? And they're gonna go Huns. Huns is a good cavalry civ in every map, but doesn't actually give you any direct benefit. Whereas for Teutons, I actually like it because usually this map is volable, and that means that the majority of the fights are either taking place at one player's base or the middle of the map on the lake itself. Which means that you don't necessarily need the mobility that much, and you can get away with having the Teuton cavalry that's slower but stronger. So I actually probably prefer the civilizations of Brazil over here in this one. We'll jump into game number 2. No restarts are available for either team, which means that no matter how the map generates, they will have to play this one. We're going to have Brazil on the south with Miguel's Teutons in blue. We're going to have GL.TaToH as Chinese in green. LAN is playing yellow Huns, and we're going to have TaToH for Spain as red Ethiopians. So the gold mine, as I've mentioned this so many times, the primary goal of players always spawns in the direction of the lake, so it is always hard to defend. You usually have a back secondary goal that's easy to defend, and in the majority of the cases, this map ends up being either a Rush FC or a Naked FC, because the maps are so easy to wall. So, for example, for the Gao, super easy wall here, easy wall here, or yeah, this is probably his best wall here, and then he's just gonna wall himself off like that. We're gonna have Lan as well with a relatively wallable base himself. His gold mines aren't great, but he could just go for this wall, and that would actually secure that gold mine easily. You have a bunch of extra sheep in the middle of the lake that makes Britons a very good civilization for this map, but Britons were sniped away from Brazil, so they weren't able to pick it on this map. And of course, right side, Miguel, once again, very vulnerable base for him. Not even a big challenge. The berries aren't nice. In fact, the berries are actually pretty bad for Miguel, but doesn't have a restart, so he's gonna have to deal with it. And last but not least, TaToH's map isn't magnificent either, but depending on how he actually was it, his primary gold might even be secure, so this is a depends type of map for TaToH. Not great, not terrible. And, well, he's gonna have lumber camp at the nice back wood line. This might be the safest wall off for TaToH, but he can just wall like this here as well. We'll see. Anyways, since the walls are up very fast for players, oftentimes we're seeing premium rushes instead of standard rush FCs. We have 4 on wood for the Gao, as you would expect, and only 3 on wood for Lan's Huns. Now, that being said, he doesn't need 4 on wood because doesn't need houses early on, so this might still be a fast castle for Lan, regardless of what we are seeing. Or the other option is something that we also commonly see on this map from the cavalry player. Instead of going for a fast castle, they go into feudal age and just go for eco upgrades and then straight to castle age with walls. That's something that might actually be a slightly more efficient economy-wise than it is to go for a fast castle, so that could also explain the 3 villagers on wood. You could just go feudal, get double bidags, that get horse color to drop your farms, and that's going to be slightly more efficient than fast castling in this one. Now, TaToH with Ethiopians, we are going to have his scout marching forward towards the base of Miguel over here. And let's see if he's going to camp that boar and try to block a villager from Miguel. You can't lame the boar with your scout, but you could try blocking a villager. Miguel getting some walls up over here. Only 2 villagers on wood. And this will over here is actually dangerously exposed walling. No loom on the horizon for Miguel. And he's trying to... yeah, he realized that that scout is there, so he's just gonna drop the walls so the villager doesn't get killed. Smart plays from Miguel over there, I would say. There is another villager over here walling, so Miguel is actually committing a lot of resources to wall this one, and he apparently has to block that boar, because the villager that he was luring it in was actually very weak. So Miguel almost losing a villager in this one. He's gonna get lucky to get away with that. Anyways, he was basically free on wood as well, so I would assume that he's going to do the exact same thing that Lan does. Just go to feudal and get your eco upgrades in, progress straight towards Castle Age. The interesting thing is that Lan doesn't actually do any walls. He's the only player who is not walling, which might backfire pretty heavily, and it turns out that Dokao isn't even gonna bother drushing here. Just go straight naked FC. We're gonna have a drush coming from TaToH, but that isn't really going to have any impact on the game, to be honest. So this drush should achieve like virtually nothing. Had TaToH been able to keep a hole like this open, it could have actually done some damage, but with that and with all the walls finished, this drush isn't going to accomplish anything, I believe. Anyways, a ping from TaToH over here. I guess what he wants to do is try to force his way into the base of Miguel here, through these walls, to try and hit the berries, but that isn't really going to happen, and the free militias will just bump into walls everywhere here. So, Lan also getting some walls up, and indeed that's a nice and comfy 20 pop feudal, so he should have no trouble getting up here to feudal and just getting the eco upgrades in. One thing that he could have done actually is squeezing the villagers in, like these 2 wheels, into these tiles before dropping the lumber camp, because then you have a little bit more efficiency from those wheels. It would have been a nice little addition for his eco. TaToH is walled from the right side, and he will be walled from the left side as well by the time any aggression could actually happen. Feudal Age is coming in here for Miguel as well, clicking up at 22 pop. A little bit late if you ask me. I guess the reason why he went up at 22 pop is because he committed a bunch of villagers to walling. So he had to wall all the way around. He had like 3 or 4 villagers walling at the same time. So I assume that the reason he had to click up at 22 is because they didn't have the food to get up at 21. But this is just the way that Ghost Lake pays out in 2v2 random map nowadays. Everybody is just either going Drush FC or Naked FC or just go boom feudal, double bidax, horse color. You see this. This is basically the scouts play without scouts for whichever civ. Now I feel like Lan is playing this one pretty badly here because he could technically be punished by a Drush or maybe even the opponent's scouts. Now that being said, they probably have scouted that neither DaToH or Miguel are going for any aggression, so he's gonna get away with these wars. But this is something that could have been punished because let's say now Miguel is in feudal age, right? So Miguel's scout can actually do a lot of damage to villagers alone, and the villager exposed like this could be easily picked off. You don't even need 2 scouts, you don't even need the teammate scout to kill this will. And that would leave a hole open on your base, so walling this late could actually backfire quite hard. That being said, Lan went for the ultimate greedy approach, 20 pop, no walls, and now he's gonna wall his base up. He's gonna have no trouble with that for now though. Anyways, Miguel is going to be safe as well. He's doing the exact same thing, and that's also one reason why I favor Teutons in this scenario. They just have the cheaper farms, and those cheaper farms are benefiting Miguel here quite nicely. So you can see that Miguel is only 8 on wood. Lan is probably 10 on wood, right? He's 9, but this villager is also going to go on wood, so it's going to be 10 on wood for Miguel. With Teutons, you can get away with 8 on wood only. Anyways, I'm not a big fan of these farms being dropped right now for Miguel. You would probably want to drop a farm here first, because these are still first layer farms, and these are second layer farms. Not so efficient as they could be, but yeah, Miguel is just gonna go as a happy farmer. It ain't much, but honest work. And meanwhile, Naked FC for DaToH into range and blacksmith. Same thing from TaToH, I believe. But the Naked FC is going to give you a slightly better feudal and castle age time. As you see, DaToH is going to click up to castle age by the time TaToH clicks up to, or TaToH reaches feudal. DaToH, I think, is going for +3 villagers over here, which is still understandable and completely fine. It's just a matter of, I feel like the Drush FC for TaToH isn't paying off. And when the Drush isn't able to do anything, a Naked FC is going to be always faster than a Drush FC. DaToH also has a stronger eco behind this one, because he's playing Chinese. And he's also already going for a second range. See, he already clicked up to castle age when TaToH is just about to reach feudal. Which is huge, because this is going to give approximately 50 seconds advantage for DaToH. 50 seconds is 2 villagers time, and you're supposed to make 2 villagers in feudal if you're TaToH. So 50 seconds of time, he's going for double ranges immediately. Not sure if he's gonna have the food to click up immediately. We'll see if that's the case. But yeah, that's 50 seconds advantage into castle age for DaToH, which he can use to make crossbows. And Lan realizes that. Lan is gonna go for double layer pulse sides because he knows that crossbows will be heading towards him and he needs to survive that. And in the meanwhile, he's gonna get the stable out. He is gonna get a reasonable castle age time in after wheelbarrow. Same thing for Miguel. So pretty standard and boring Ghost Lake beginning for us here. Alright, these militias still not accomplishing anything, and now there is an archer out here from DaToH. So these guys, right now the best use for those militias is to spread them out across the map and get some scouting information in with them. That's the best thing you can do. Lan is the first cavalry player to look up to castle age, soon followed by Miguel, who is also going for a stable. The Hunnic stables will work faster over here, and overall the Huns will have a more or less comparable eco to Teutons, but overall I feel like Teutons have a slight eco advantage, and they will have a slight advantage in the quality of their cavalry. On the other hand, if the Huns get the husbandry fast, which could be an option for Lan, then they are going to be able to decide if they want to take a fight against Teutons or not. So the mobility advantage will be on the side of the Hunnic player. Going to be interesting to look at. It seems like Lan is trying to hide these stables here, but I feel like it would have been better to make them close to the walls. Maybe he was afraid that the archers are already coming his way, but let's be honest, these walls aren't really going to hold for long, and indeed it turns out that Lan realizes, oh shoot, there's crossbows heading my way, and that's not great. TaToH, not in Castle Age yet. He is gonna bring in no crossbows just yet for him, but now that he's almost up, he's going to send them out. Lan so far okay with the defense. He's gonna need to make, yeah, a pause side wall over there is fine, but this is going to make him lose these free farms over here, because the crossbows can just deny them. You can hop into the TC with these free villagers and pretty much deny that, so for now, I mean, this is completely fine defense. For Lan, just gonna have a little bit of idle time. Crossbows will be heading towards the base of Lan over here to clean up that crossbowman aggression. And now, Lan is up to Castle Age. He's gonna start popping out knights, and they could actually take a good engagement here with the help of the crossbows. And the knights only +1 defense right now. I guess with these resources, you're gonna get +2 in a moment. Yeah, here it comes. +2 defense on the way for Lan, and he should be able to squeeze in some additional town centers pretty soon. So, knights on the way. He's got quite a lot of TC idle time, so his food eco isn't the best, but it's something that he can get away with, especially if they can actually kill this army over here. TaToH does have Botkin, so does GL.TaToH. And it turns out that they are gonna go back to the middle of the lake. +1 attack coming in here for Miguel. Interestingly, I'm not sure if he can squeeze in +2 defense right away upon reaching Castle Age. So it's going to be +1 attack, and in melee, it's fine. So melee armor is going to be the same as Lan has. It's 2+2. But in Pierce armor, these Teuton Knights are actually a little bit weaker than that of Lan's, and the crossbows, especially Ethiopian crossbows, could punish Teuton Knights for only having +1 defense here. So I think Miguel needs to grab that extra armor very soon, otherwise he's gonna be in trouble. He's going for TC number 2 over here on the stone and wood, and for now everything seems to be peaceful. TaToH is playing double range fast ballistics play, and Lan also playing 1 TC play here. So aggressive plays from Spain, and I feel like the aggressive play here is justified because the opponent has a forward gold, and it is very, very reasonable to try and deny your opponent from taking that forward gold and forcing him to fight for it. And, well, as I said, you need the +2 defense on those knights. Otherwise, Ethiopian crossbows will just melt them. I am not so sure why Miguel is not grabbing that. He doesn't have the gold for it, but that's a slightly bad eco balance if he doesn't have the gold for it, because he is supposed to be able to grab it upon reaching Castle Age, just like Lan did. And in 2v2, you need the archer armor, or the pierce armor, because there is going to be an archer player from the opponent, so you will have to be able to take good engagements against archers. Emergency walls coming in here for Miguel, looking alright. He lost 1 villager, and for now he's going to use the TC to be secure, but this is gonna be a tricky engagement, because the knights will run in, and at this point, you have to forget about the army chasing. You just go in and kill. Just absolutely go in, kill as many villagers as you can, damage the eco, because you are going to lose this army no matter what. So, at this point, it's all about running in, killing the villagers, and that's exactly what they're doing. Try to take some good engagement, pick off some knights over here from Miguel, but you're denying the gold mine. Try to hit the wood line, and now they're going to try and break out. Trying to save that army might work out for them as well. What they could do is also try and intercept the reinforcements coming from GL.TaToH. And it turns out that they are gonna be able to break out here. Crossbows have arrived, and they might just save the crossbows over here. Walls are being deleted, so that they can actually get a good chase in. And there is going to be a good surrounding party from Miguel, who now has +2 armor in. So those knights are now much better than those of Lan's. And yeah, this army is gonna get cleaned up. At this point, you trade the archers to the opponent's archers and save the cavalry over here. If you are Spain, I still believe that damage has been done. Miguel is down to 34 villagers, and he was on 2 TCs. Lan is playing 1 TC, 39 villagers. So I guess they have done quite considerable damage on Miguel. But remember that Miguel is able to go for cheap farms, so his food eco is gonna be nice, and he has on 2 TCs. So he can reboom into this one quite well, and it seems like they're going to try and hit TaToH's base now. TaToH does have Ethiopian crossbows and ballistics, but there is going to be +2 defense for the Gauss, something that TaToH does not possess. And I think that Lan needs to add another TC here. Just playing 1 TC double stable isn't really gonna crack it. It's not aggressive enough to win the game in Castle Age. but it's not going to give you any advantage in late game because you're going to fall behind in eco. So, not sure if that's the play for LAN. Here come the Knights. They could get a good surround on those crossbows, and that's exactly the plan for LAN. Now they'll have to disengage because there are quite a lot of Knights coming from Miguel. Crossbowmen are in as well here for TaToH. Remember that he's got the faster firing crossbows, so that's a nice little bonus for the Ethiopian player over here. And you want to get a good surround on those crossbows. Whichever team you are, you want to get that done. 3 TCs, by the way, for DaToH. He's at 67 villagers. TaToH is only at 53. So the eco of Spain isn't really there yet. But in the meanwhile, they are apparently able to win this fight quite decisively, and they could absolutely mop up the entire army of Brazil. LAN is at 14 knights, Miguel is down to 6, and DaToH is also going to lose quite considerable archer numbers over here. So yes, the eco for Spain is weaker, but their aggressive push could still pay off, because they could go for the stables once again, and they could also deny this gold mine. Remember, Miguel doesn't have a lot of back gold to work with. In fact, Miguel has 8 villagers on gold, which is by far not enough. And here's the moment where you're just gonna go and dive in on those stables. You also try to intercept the reinforcements for DaToH, and yes, DaToH's gonna have a crazy boom here, but I feel like Miguel is very close to dying. He's once again going to lose the stables, he loses control over the forward gold mine, he is at 43 villagers, LAN is at 48, and LAN is playing 1 TC, now he's on 2, and Miguel was 2 TCs for the whole time. And, I mean, it is in the hands of DaToH to carry this one, 77 villagers, and I guess the only hope here for Brazil seems to be that DaToH gets to Imperial and gets Arbalest. Because in Castle Age, he isn't really going to be able to beat the Ethiopian crossbows, so he needs to get Arbalest, and TaToH isn't even close to imping, so let's see what DaToH is planning to do. Yeah, DaToH is planning to imp here with these resources. The problem is that they don't have that much time to wait, because Miguel is getting totally smashed here, losing all the stables, and he's gonna have to replace them, but that's very expensive and sorta inefficient, to be honest. Also, villagers on the wood line could be killed. So it's not like Brazil can wait until DaToH gets to Imperial, and that takes a lot of time to get to Imp. It's just an awful lot of time, and I'm not sure if they have that much time, honestly. Because Miguel is losing his stables here, and they're just going to overrun. And if they force a fight here against DaToH's crossbows, that's great for them, because DaToH needs numbers to be efficient in Imperial. That's the only hope for Brazil, that DaToH is able to retain his army and get into Imperial and win the fight with Arbalests. But meanwhile, Miguel is getting smashed here. He's still just 4 villagers behind compared to LAN, which is a nice thing to have, but he's running out of his gold quite fast. And in fact, he's going to the other gold mine, trying to get some space for himself. And now, they could try pushing DaToH. DaToH is also using this gold mine over here, so he's gonna have some backup, but he didn't actually go for this gold mine either. And let's see if those knights will just go straight towards the base of DaToH, because DaToH's army is moving slow. And if the army is moving slow, you can just send in the knights and just raid the hell out of DaToH's eco. DaToH is at 56%, actually just 46, to Imperial, but TaToH is also going up. And if TaToH's gonna be up, he's gonna have better crossbows. He's got a weaker eco. But TaToH, weaker eco, stronger crossbows, and many of those crossbows here could actually be killed. DaToH, nice quick walls over there. Once again, he's the birthday man today. Let's see if he can actually get something on his birthday. Fletching for LAN. I guess fletching is probably just going to be just for TCs, so you get some more damage output. That's like the pure purpose of that. And DaToH needs to preserve his army numbers. The problem is that he's got his army numbers in here. Nice. But when he reaches Imperial, he's going to have to march out. And TaToH and LAN are going to realize that, and they will just run away and wait until TaToH gets to Imperial. TaToH is 18 villagers behind, 7 villagers advantage right now for LAN over Miguel, but LAN has double the army compared to Miguel, and Miguel is going to lose even more over here in the middle of the lake, trying to bash their way into the base of DaToH. They see that DaToH is imp, and they are not disengaging, which is an interesting decision. I think they should, but they are trying to dive in here. This is a bad decision from Spain. Did they not see DaToH being an imp? DaToH is gonna have Arbs, and he's gonna have the perfect trap here. Now that being said, LAN has actually beaten Miguel here quite hard. Miguel is up to 3 TCs, and Miguel is getting some more knights on the field. This is gonna be interesting, because if you look at the combined ecos, Brazil is still leading, and that's quite a lot of cavalry with +3 melee attack. Or melee armor for Miguel coming towards the base of Lan. Lan is not far away from imping, he just needs to balance his eco. He's gonna get some raiding on his eco, but so does he raid the eco of Miguel here. And I feel like Miguel's 31 idols here is just absolutely awful. That being said, it's a huge mistake from TaToH that he didn't actually leave before. Like, see, he's losing crossbows because they actually stayed around the base of Dogao when he was in. They should have run away. They're losing quite a lot of crossbows because of that. But still, I mean, Miguel is down to 55 villagers, now Lan is at 75. And Lan, I think that he is just idling everything that he can to imp. Orbs are in now as well for TaToH, but he doesn't have any armor on those guys. Whereas for Lan, or whereas for Dogao, he's got +2 defense. So it's still not ideal. Eventually, Lan's raids are cleaned up. But it's 54 villagers right now for Miguel. And the Arbalest will just melt the cavalry here. I don't think they can do enough. There isn't really a huge amount of Arbs here, so technically they could take that fight, but it's not going to be very efficient for Miguel. And some more knights are in. That's the main problem for Miguel. He's just getting raided and raided and raided. And it appears that the Arbs from Dogao will try to push Lan, but Lan is on the way to Imperial. And the coinage from Dogao makes me believe that there is going to be an attempt to sling Miguel over here. Ethiopian Arbs are melting that TC. What is this? And there is no gold income, by the way, for Miguel. He's got no villagers on this gold mine. No villagers on this gold mine. Absolutely zero gold income for Miguel. That being said, that's a huge push towards the base of Lan. But these knights will get cleaned up by the few Arbs here. And yes, Lan is gonna lose some ground here. Oh no, that's the Imp TC. That's the Imp TC for Lan. Why not this one? Why not this one for the Imp? And that's going to be a castle. I think Lan will be able to get away with this one. But it's gonna be closer than you would want it to be. Because it's still just 54%. And if Dogao realizes that Lan is repairing, he's gonna understand that that's the Imp TC. And honestly, Lan could be in a tough spot here. He's down to 70 villagers, just like Miguel. So the villager counts are now actually fairly close. Dogao is having an advantage over TaToH over here. And luckily for Lan, I think he's gonna be able to get up. But it's going to be close. It's going to be awfully close, honestly. If the Arbalest focus down that TC, Lan could lose his Imp TC and he could throw away the game. No way. Lan is gonna lose the Imp TC. Okay. This is a perfect example why you are making Imperial Age on your safest town center, which is this one or this one. And that's huge, because if Lan got the Imperial Age, he would be on Cavaliers and he would just steamroll the base of Miguel. Without Cavalier, he's gonna be evenly matched by Miguel's cavalry. In fact, Miguel's cavalry is better in quality. And that's exactly what they needed. They needed Imp from Lan so he can bring in the cavalry and clean this one up. He's not cleaning up the Arbs with the Knights. He wants to clean it up with the Cavalier. And if you look at the eco now, Miguel now has the advantage. That being said, Miguel is also getting smashed over here, so it might actually turn out to be like a 1v1 between TaToH and Lan, to a point where TaToH realizes he might just go Elite Skirm to try and beat back the forces of Dogao, because Lan is kinda toast, and honestly, this TC isn't gonna stand anymore either. Lan is not gonna reach Imperial here. I mean, TaToH is in here with the Arbs, but once again for Lan, I think he's gonna be able to keep that TC alive, but Lan is at 56 villagers, Miguel is at 70. That being said, that's going to be a forward castle from TaToH, and honestly, this is gonna be like a 1v1 here. It's pretty much going to be a 1v1 between the Ethiopian player and the Chinese player. The problem is that the Ethiopian player is gonna have better army quality. TaToH now with +4 defense as well, and he's gonna clean this one up. Army numbers are still very, very close for both players, but I mean, Miguel is less dead than Lan is currently. However, that could change very, very fast, because, well, Miguel is gonna get smashed and Miguel is lacking gold to click up. Meanwhile, at least Lan is going up. Lan's food eco is in ruins, but if he can actually reboom, then he could still be able to start making Cavalier here. In fact, I could see TaToH slinging him some food because TaToH's got 26 on food, not something that TaToH necessarily needs. There is going to be a ramp push from Dogao over here. Castle is up by TaToH. I would love to see a trap, because you want to trap down these buildings as fast as possible and finish off Miguel. Miguel's Imp TC is this one. That should not go down. I don't think that TaToH knows about the Imp TC. It's a risky call because that's a quite wide open Imp TC, but probably the safest. This one or this one is the safest Imp TC. Over here, Knights from LAN, without +4 defense, without Cavalier upgrade, but at least LAN is sort of safe now, and he's got 66 Vultures. Miguel's at 77, but Miguel's got a lot of idols. Turns out that TaToH loses a few wheels over here on the gold mine of his opponent. Oh no. Oh no. Is LAN... If LAN finds that TC, he could actually take revenge, but they are not going in that direction. Oh, he could have actually destroyed that TC with that many Knights and Orbs. And they could have lost that Imp as well. Oh man, this is so wacky. And now, this is the primary goal of LAN that he's about to lose. And, well, Imperial Age is going to kick in here for Miguel as well, who's getting a castle up here. A trap should be needed from TaToH. And oh boy, that castle is still far from being completed. Miguel is pulling all the villagers to do this one. It's gonna go up. Maybe if the Arbalest helped, it would have been a little bit different. But now it's trap versus trap over here. Miguel is down to 72 villagers, LAN up to 74, but he's having a bunch of orbs inside his base, or at least in the face of his base. And I have no idea why LAN queued up Atheism. LAN actually queued up Atheism as an upgrade. That literally makes zero sense in the majority of the scenarios. Now he's going for conscriptions. I guess it was just a misclick. And oh, now he's taking down that TC. Imagine if this happened 2 minutes ago. Miguel would have lost his Imp progress, and now Miguel's gonna have Cavalier. Miguel's gonna have +4 defense, and even worse for Spain. Miguel is gonna have the extra armor that he receives because of being Teutons in Imperial. That being said, now the eco is slightly better for the LAN over here, and that's an awful lot of orbs being lost here by Dogao to just elite skirms. So not a great fight for Dogao over here. And now Marauders. I was thinking about this for LAN, that he could go Tarkans, and given the scenario, I partially understand it. Tarkans will be better against the Arbalest than Paladins are, but I don't like it in 2v2s, because Paladins are a lot more general purpose than, or Cavaliers are a lot more general purpose than Tarkans. So if Miguel comes in here with Cavalier or Paladin, they will eat the Tarkans. I also love the fact that TaToH is focusing the castle instead of focusing the trebs. When you have the chance, you always want to focus the castle, because it's much easier to kill the castle because you have 100% hit rate compared to killing the trebs, in which case you don't have 100% win rate or hit rate. Big fight over here as well. Numbers for Dogao are still looking better, but that's going to be a lot of elite Tarkans, and one thing that you get with Tarkans that you are going to have a lot of anti-building bonus as well. So you can just run in and raid with Tarkans like crazy. So with Tarkans, you're not only going to be engaging the Paladins, or soon to be Paladins of Miguel. What you want with Tarkans is just raid your opponent to death. So this Tarkans play is risky here. You see that they only have 1 base melee armor compared to Cavalier having Cavalier having 2 base melee armor. So weaker melee armor, but 8 pierce armor over what is going to be 6 at maximum for Paladin as well. But yeah, Tarkans aren't really gonna kill Cavalier. Cavalier eats Tarkan. Tarkan also trains a little bit faster, you can spam them a little bit easier, but I don't think that's a factor for LAN right now because it doesn't really have the eco to spam them. So if you're using Tarkans, you want to use them as a raiding force. Both at killing buildings and both at just raiding villagers. The castle are still standing here, and TaToH did lose the traps on the right side. Turns out TaToH's gonna lose this, and Miguel seems to stabilize. Both cavalry players are at 90 villagers, but I massively favor the unit composition of Brazil now. So it's Arb versus Arb, and numbers are even, but it's Teuton Paladin very soon that's gonna have like infinite melee armor versus what is just gonna be Tarkans. But Tarkans are gonna have the mobility. So you can try raiding your way back into the game. Brazil already has trade up. Spain not even close to establishing trade. In fact, they don't even secure the right corner, which is a bit of a problem for them. More Tarkans on the field. What are you going to do against Teuton Paladins? That's my problem. What are you going to do against Teuton Paladins? Here comes a big Arbalest raid, though, that could cripple the gold income for Brazil. Remember that if you look at Miguel, Miguel's got 2 Voyagers on gold. Right now, he's trying to secure the right side. TaToH is trying to steal as much gold as he can from Miguel right now. Because they know that if Miguel gets gold, he's gonna overrun the map with Paladins. It seems like Lan is massing a huge force of Tarkans, unwilling to engage, so I guess it's going to be a huge raiding force coming in from them. They're going to see that Brazil is already trading, and they are not trading themselves. Brazil seems to be in a much better spot right now. They have trade up, and see, Lan is forced to make light cav because they don't have gold income. I think Brazil has this. Brazil is gonna have this, and it's all gonna go down to Lan losing in progress. Had Lan not lost his in progress, he would have had like 25-ish knights on the field that would have been Cavalier, and that Cavalier is able to beat back Dogao's aggression with the Arbs. That in progress being lost is going to lose the game for Spain over here. It's going to be an even trade that's completely satisfactory for Dogao right now. And we're gonna have hard barriers from TaToH. So he's stacking into hard. Tarkans are coming in here. They're trying to deny the gold income as much as possible from their opponents. But I mean, now Paladin running into the eco of TaToH as well over here. TaToH is down to 37, military Dogao is at 34. Lan is at 54 though. Never underestimate the Tarkans. Never underestimate the Tarkans. They can melt buildings very fast. And they're excellent trading units. They're much better at melting buildings than Paladins are. So they can just run in and kill a bunch of eco from Miguel, and Lan is down to 98 Voyagers, but Miguel is dropping to 80. Look at all the Voyagers dying so fast. And look at this. Miguel dropped like 30 Voyagers in just a few seconds. That's what Tarkans can give you. And Tarkans will have an insane Pierce Armor, so Arbalest won't stop them. You need Paladins. But where are you gonna get Paladins from if Miguel doesn't have eco? Could Spain bring this one back with a Tarkan Masterpiece? You know that Tarkans are my favorite unique units, right? There is a reason why. I think they're so cool at many things. They're somewhat situational, but in the right scenario, they're just absolutely stunning. And, well, the only problem now for Lan is that it doesn't have any reliable gold income. They just do not have any trade going on, and there is still Paladins inside the eco of TaToH. TaToH dropped down to 95 Voyagers, and Dogao is still at 124. That's the problem for Spain now. That TaToH's will count is disturbingly low. That being said, if these Tarkans actually run into the eco of Dogao, Dogao is gonna be in huge trouble. Just, indeed, go for that TC. They're going to melt it in 5 seconds. Just watch. I mean, Dogao is running for his life, but that could be 15 Voyagers killed from Dogao. Miguel is down to 72 Voyagers, TaToH is down to 94. But soon, Dogao is gonna lose a huge amount of Vils here as well. Just look at the rate at which those Voyagers are dying. It's ridiculous. And if you look at the left side, Lan is gonna be able to get back to the gold. It's going to be a Tarkan Masterpiece, ladies and gentlemen, because if you look at Miguel, he still has just 6 Voyagers on gold. He cannot spam the Paladins. And in the meanwhile, the Tarkans will be excellent at just raiding and raiding and raiding. They are the best raiding unit potentially in the game. Very hard to kill by the TC and Castlefire because they have insane Pierce Armor. They have an anti-building bonus. They have a nice HP as well. And they have a pretty decent damage output, so they are actually pretty good at killing Voyagers as well. And they're pretty good at killing buildings. Dogao is at still 109 Voyagers, but that's going to drop very soon. And if you look at Dogao, he's got 5 on gold. TaToH has 10 on gold, and that's the difference. TaToH is the player that has the most on gold right now, with the exception of Lan. But both Spanish players actually have more on gold compared to the Brazilians. And now Dogao is trying to stream in pikemen one by one, trying to desperately clean up the Tarkan raids. Look at the Voyager count drop of Dogao. That is what Tarkans give you. The rate at which Dogao lost his Voyagers was ridiculous. He was 120 Voyagers a minute ago. Now he's down to 50. It's over. I mean, what is Brazil gonna do with 50 Voyagers for both players when TaToH has 83? And Lan, after making an enormous mistake, Lan really almost threw the game with that Imp TC being cleared up. I think that he just came back into this game and really made up for that mistake that he did. Because after that mistake, the Tarkin switch was perfect. Dogao is down to 35 villagers. I don't see them stopping this now. Because now these castles are going down. Dogao is at 15 military and 34 villagers. Dogao is at 50 pop. And the Tarkans are gonna win it for Spain. I told you that it's my favorite unique unit. And it's just so satisfying to see Tarkans raiding economies to full death. And that's exactly how you want to use Tarkans. You don't want to engage directly against the opponent's paladins, because the paladins will be just much better. Look at this. 7 milli armor for those paladins, 180 HP. Only 4 milli armor for Tarkans. But the extra pierce armor that you get helps you survive against DCs. The building attack bonus that you get. The base attack that's already pretty huge. All of this combines for the fact that you can just raid crazily. And indeed, this tournament actually features a lot of unique units. Berserks aren't that uncommon, but indeed the Shola Warrior play in the semifinals from MBL, not the Tarkans. Unique units having an excellent day in this one. And Lan ending the day with the 400 kills to 200 deaths. So we cannot forget about the fact that he lost that Imp TC over there. This Imp should have been here. And that's what Tarkans give you. Just look at that timeline. This drop over here, 4 Tarkan kills. This drop, Dogao lost 70 villagers in 1 minute. That's like probably a new record. It was an absolute slaughter. And it's just so hard to clean up Tarkans. That's the problem. Because they combine speed, anti-building bonus, they combine raiding potential, high HP, and huge pierce armor. Not something that you have with any other unit, to be honest. Like, the closest to that is Paladin, but Paladins don't have a that big anti-building bonus, so it takes more time for them to kill buildings and kill TCs, and that gives a little bit more time for the opponent to react. And also they have a slightly smaller pierce armor, so castles are a little bit better at stopping them. And that being said, game number 2 is done, and we are going to take a look at the civilization and map draft of the players, because after 2 games, Spain is standing strong. My prediction was 4-2 for this series, and you can see why Spain got to this stage of the tournament. Because Spain has been playing very, very convincingly. They just make some stupid mistakes that they shouldn't. Like, that Imp TC being lost was huge. But anyways, we are gonna have Ghost Lake done and Arabia done as well. Brazil's next home map is either going to be Team Islands or Valley. Civ-wise, we are done with Mayas, we're done with Chinese, we are done with Teutons, and we are done with Aztecs for Brazil. Other side, Ethiopians are gone, Huns are gone, Slavs are gone, and Tatars are gone. So, Team Islands. You can go Portuguese if you're Spain, or you can go Italians. I feel like Spanish and Italians will go for Nomad for Spain, which would leave Portuguese and something like Celts, for example. Celts would be a very, very reasonable landing save. Remember that Spain is good with strategies. They have seen how Yo and Lix are landing with Teutons, for example. I can see Celts doing a fast castle landing and going for a Hoang Rush type of a thing, and Portuguese playing the water for Spain. I expect both teams to trend some sort of landing, because that's kind of what became the meta nowadays in Team Islands. Other side, you're going to have Brazil with what could be anything: Malay, Byzantines, Japanese maybe. We'll see what kind of landing we see. Franks is still available for Brazil. I'm actually curious where they're going to use that. But according to Robo, the game has started, so let's not wait and jump into the next game over here. That's gonna be game number 3, and we're going to Team Islands. So let's see what we have. We have Malay Japanese from Dogao and Miguel. 2 pure water civs, or well, not pure water civs, but 2 civs that are both good at playing water. So there's a chance we're going to see a double water play from Brazil. But they might just try to disguise a landing using these civs. That's always a case, or that's always a possibility. Berbers for land, I like that. Berbers are very underrated water civ. Very, very good at the galley micro, and it appears that Italians will not be brought in for Nomad. They will be using it over here for TaToH, which makes me believe that Portuguese could be used for Nomad, and they could be using the free cartography of Portuguese to get some more scouting information for themselves, which would be a nice idea as well from Spain. So theoretically, we could see all 4 players going for water, but I have a feeling that both teams will have at least one of the players trying to get water and one for landing. I would say it's probably the Berbers and the Japanese player that's gonna try to play landing. We'll see. But if that's the case, I actually prefer Berbers at landing for many, many, many reasons. Japanese, however, will have longer surviving fishing ships, so even if they get pressured early on, they aren't really gonna get killed easily. Alright, that brings us to game number 3 over here. In this best of 7 in between Spain and Brazil, we're gonna have the southern island belonging to Brazil. Miguel's playing Malay in blue, and we're gonna have Dogao as Japanese in green. You have TaToH as Italians in red on the north, and Lan is going to be playing Berbers in yellow. One thing to point out is that the island for Brazil seems to be a lot thicker, and that actually helps you quite a bit on the 2v2 team islands generation, because it's much harder to deny resources from the shoreline. But if you look at it, it doesn't really matter that much, because most of the woodlands are still on the shoreline and the middle of the island is just empty. Whereas for TaToH and Lan, they have a lot narrower island. Like this woodland, for example, is pretty bad because it can be denied by war galleys, for example. I don't think galleys can deny this fully, but later on this woodland can actually be pretty bad. Finals will be after this series, by the way. So, I saw that question on chat. Finals will be after this series. Whenever this ends, basically. They aren't going to start it until this hasn't finished. That's for sure. Alright, so these bears are actually awful for Dogao. You could actually place a nice mill over here that is able to get the box turtles as well, but this could be denied by fire galleys as well. Not a great bear respawn. Remember that none of the teams have a restart here, so no matter what, this is going to be the generation that they are going to be playing on. And, well, looking at the relics, that's going to be 2 relics on each island. I think that's the way that this map always spawns. And one thing I'm about to notice is that the huntables are pretty far away for Miguel. You also have some extra huntables on team islands, that's always the case. Or do you? I know that it used to be like that. On the old Woobly team island generations, you had a bunch of extra hunt. Apparently they removed it, and this is the hunt for Dogao, but that's actually a very, very bad hunt. It's very far away, and it's actually blocked by a food line in between TC. Not something that you really want to have. Other side, we have a kind of awful deer spawn as well for TaToH. I like that he just blocked that rhino with that other Voyager, and that way he didn't lose a single HP on that wheel. Nice little move from TaToH, and oh, I like this as well from Lan. He's going to drop the Palisade trick on top of that monitor lizard. No, it's actually Commodore Dragon. So this way, you'll see if this moves. If this moves, there is an enemy unit over here. Unless it's a scout, but if there is Voyagers around, then you are going to be able to see that moving. Alright, backdock over here for Lan. A backdock can mean 2 things. It's either a fast castle play from Lan, or he's gonna try to land, and he wants his fish to be safe. Other side, TaToH is going for front dock. That should be a straight galleys play, or a fire galleys play. Backdock as well from Dogao to the side-ish. Could be landing, could be galley play, could even be fast castle. And the side dock as well from Miguel, which is probably going to be galley play then. Alright. The main concern for Brazil here is that both of their docks are actually on the side or at the back, so they have zero idea or zero potential to stop transport ships to the front of their base, so they could get landed pretty easily. Whereas here for Spain, they have TaToH, who could actually intercept transport ships relatively easily. Alright, so everybody is adding the fishing ships as you would expect, and We got a ping over here from Lan. I wonder what he's pinging. I guess he's pinging the end of the island. Over here. They're gonna have a nice and thorough scouting of their own island over here. By the way, this map spawns with war buffaloes, which actually helps quite a bit because they hold 150 food instead of 100 food. I think it only spawns with 6 of them, but that's 900 food compared to what you would have from 8 sheep, which is 800. So war buffalo maps have a little bit more herdable food on them. Anyways, TaToH is gonna go for a relatively fast up over here. Remember, he's Italian, so you can actually click up cheaper. And well, that's gonna be a nice little fuel age time for him. And we have a transport coming in for land, so he is indeed going to land here. In fact, it's going to be a fuel age landing from him. We are gonna have a transport coming in here from Miguel, interestingly. So he's the one landing. And that means that TaToH is going to be the water player. TaToH is prepared for a landing, so he's gonna start walling himself. I think that's something that you always have to do nowadays on Team Islands. You have to be prepared for your opponent landing you, so you just have to do it. Alright, here's the transport, and the first to fuel will eventually be Miguel because he's Malay, so he's able to get up to fuel age. Our next stage is a little bit faster. Look at all those transports just sailing around. Let's see, 2 villagers pulled by Lan and TaToH, and 2 scouts will be inside. It's gonna be 3 villagers from Miguel. No, just 2. And just 1 scout. Oh, he's going for 3 vills. If he's going 3 vills, it's very likely that he's going to try and play with towers. Now, that being said, the transport here is gonna be able to drop off the units. I don't think that TaToH is gonna be able to see this one. Meanwhile, let's take a look at what TaToH is doing. He's doing backdock fire galleys. Oh, that's so unlucky for Spain. They just bumped into TaToH over here. That being said, they have 2 scouts against 1, so this is a guaranteed stable that's gonna go up. And in the meanwhile, Lan is also going to spot the scout of his opponent. This villager is probably gonna die if there's just 1 scout over there. And there's a stable. Lan should be notifying TaToH that you need to voll yourself. Indeed, TaToH is already volling himself. Lan should also be volling. What is Lan doing? I mean, Lan saw the scout. He doesn't see the building, but I mean, this should be a wall already. This should be a wall already. And now he's like scrambling to make the walls, but this is not the most important wall. This one is, and that's a too late wall now. That's just way too late. Anyways, both teams do have their stables up, and it appears that like that's TaToH's scout, and it's just going to help Miguel volling himself. TaToH is fully volled. So is Miguel going to be, but there is already scouts on the way. So it seems like TaToH is going to do an early switch into galleys. TaToH is still making fire galleys over here. But TaToH is going to be able to hit the fishing eco of Miguel, and that would actually be a pretty nice jackpot for him. Whereas the backdock for Lan is paying off. Lan is just not losing any fishing ships for the time being. Scouts here for Miguel aren't really doing anything, and there is going to be an archer range coming in. Meanwhile, Lan is just chilling and taking food from the huntables. His scouts aren't really able to inflict any damage. People are just so prepared for landings now. Now, honestly, if TaToH isn't starting to switch into galleys here, he could be in trouble. Because the fire galleys will eventually be out-microed by TaToH having 6, 7, 8 galleys. Because TaToH is getting close to that critical mass of galleys over here. Horse color from Lan implies that he assumes that eventually his fishing eco is going to be pushed. Miguel already is losing his fishing eco, which is not so nice for him. And those walls are relatively weak. So theoretically, these scouts could try bashing their way in, or if the transport ship is still alive, they could try transporting around. That applies to both teams. Some galleys on the way, and this would be a nice play from TaToH as well. You can use the galleys or the fire galleys to open up walls. That is true for both teams. Now, here come the scouts, and this could be dead villagers for Miguel. He hasn't finished the walls yet. That could be 2 dead villas, and I love that this scout is moving in to try and kill the villager that is walling. Miguel, what is happening to you, Miguel? That's going to be 2 dead villas, 3 dead villas, and the scout, I mean, the hole is still open. Just send the scouts in, and you are gonna be able to finish it off. There is even a transport coming from Lan, so even if this was fully walled, like walled over here, you would have this one. There is some galleys to the back of Lan's base, so Lan is going to lose his fishing eco, but Miguel already did lose his fishing eco as well, and Miguel is down to 30 villagers. Are they gonna get into the base of TaToH over here? That's the real question. Tower versus tower, both of them are up, but I mean, TaToH's gonna have more villagers to pull, and he can just keep these guys out for the time being. Whereas for Miguel, he's gonna have to bring in a spearman. Honestly, yeah, this is a fight that you can take, and if you're Lan, you can just keep sending in scouts here. Lan isn't far away from clicking into Castle Age though either, to be honest. It seems like indeed his fishing eco is just running towards the corner for the time being. And I think now they will jump into this transport and maybe try to hit DaToH's base, transporting around like that. DaToH's gonna have quite decent galley numbers. It seems like we are still going to have fire galleys from TaToH. TaToH not far away from clicking up to Castle Age. DaToH is actually very, very close to clicking up to Castle. He's the first one to go up, so this is gonna be tricky for TaToH because remember that TaToH is being delayed here. DaToH isn't. DaToH is completely untouched, and that could actually help him win the water fights. The real question is, can Miguel come back from that significant deficit? Because now, Lan is gonna click up to Castle Age, and do you know what Lan is going to do when he's in Castle Age? He's gonna make knights, and he's gonna make siege workshops. And that is the real problem also. Oh, that's so cool. That's so cool, something that you always have to be prepared for. I think that DaToH is going to start winning the water here. But does that matter? Because DaToH is gonna get pushed pretty hard. They will jump into this transport. DaToH has not a single barracks over here. He's going to lose quite a lot of villagers to this one, or needs to do some crazy quick wars, because hello there. I can even see the transport just trying to block the villagers, and look at that. Look at how DaToH is scrambling to try and clean that one up as much as possible. TaToH is even bringing in a fire galley to help out in the fight. Fire guys actually have a reasonable damage output here, and I mean, DaToH is losing so much here, and now TaToH is the only untouched player, really. So if you look at the eco numbers, TaToH 40 villagers, DaToH is at 33, 38 for Miguel, but he's not going up to Castle Age. Lan also has 38, but he is on the way towards Castle Age. If he's up to Castle, he can actually make a defensive siege workshop against this one, and more importantly, he can start pushing with knights and potentially even a siege workshop on land. He's going for bloodlines, which confirms that they just want to make sure that Lan can keep pushing on land. Now that being said, TaToH is going to lose all his fishing eco here, and DaToH, I think DaToH also lost his fishing eco. That's going to be another villager killed from DaToH, and DaToH now has the galley numbers. In fact, he's going to have the war galleys very soon on the field. TaToH is down to 36 villagers, but DaToH to 34. And I feel like this castle is going to be important, because now it is indeed night, and that should be a siege workshop from Lan very, very soon. It's a blacksmith first, because he doesn't have a blacksmith. Fun fact, something that a lot of people do not know, in Age of Empires 2, you need a blacksmith to be able to make siege workshops. So that's actually a prerequisite building, and that's not something that Lan had over here. And, well, those knights are just gonna start killing villagers over here as well. Miguel is without a dock here. Miguel is trying to get into the base of Lan, but Lan is doing a beautiful job defending so far. And, well, with the wood that he has, that's gonna be a siege workshop already. Knights can start bashing down the walls. That's another dead villager from DaToH. And now, TaToH can start, I think he's just gonna go full fire ship here. Yeah, it seems like it's going to be full fire ship. And TaToH is also playing 2 TCs over here. And the main problem is that Miguel is just about to click up to Castle Age. Because, number 1, he went for archers, which is a lot more heavy on the eco than just scouts for Lan. Number 2, he lost his fishing eco a lot earlier than Lan did. But he's going to find Lan's gold mine. Oh, that's a huge mistake from Lan. An enormous mistake. He can still go back to this gold mine, but that's far from ideal. Luckily for him, he can bring in some spears to defend against this one, but instead he's rushing up a stable for knights. What he needs to do right now is delete this wall and re-wall this. Because he should know that this is open. Delete this wall and wall this one in. Before the archers come in there. Because if archers get in there, the spearman isn't really going to help either. That being said, now DaToH is under heavy pressure here. And I feel like DaToH is suffering from a lot more pressure than TaToH is. So sure, Lan is the one that's getting pushed here on land. But I feel like DaToH having a very, very massy eco right now and 31 villagers, compared to TaToH 41 vills, and being able to just go for the full fire ship play here, I feel like Dogao is in a much better spot. He's gonna get Careening, which is gonna give 1 extra Pierce Armor for those Fire Galleys, making them better against the War Galleys. And this is the problem right now for Dogao. What is he gonna do? I mean, he's trying to rush up a second TC, but he's without wood income, he's without gold income, and eventually TaToH's just gonna outmuscle him on water, and it's not like Miguel is close to helping. That being said, if Miguel reaches Castle Age, he could do the exact same thing that that Lan is doing and go for Siege Workshop. And I guess the way that TaToH wants to combat that is making knights at his own island, which might work out well. It could work out really well. Over here, a camel is out from land to clean up the scouts. You still need to wall this one off to prevent the archers from hitting you over here. The fleet for Dogao is still much better and bigger than TaToH's fleet is. But in the meanwhile, I mean, Dogao is losing ground very, very rapidly. And it's not like he has anywhere to run. He's just losing so much space. Here come the battle elephants, interestingly, from Miguel. Those elephants are pretty sturdy, and a battering ram as well on the way. TaToH's gonna have to quick wall this one. And remember, those crossbows could actually be really punishing in Castle Age now. There's a mangonel for TaToH on the way, and there are some knights inside that stable as well. But this is going to delay TaToH a tiny bit. It's a matter of who gets delayed more now. Also, knights, oh, that's so good as well for Lan. There is going to be an opening on the wood line of Miguel, and that's going to cripple the wood income for Miguel for quite a significant amount of time. I'm not sure if this was completely open or it was just something that was broken open by the fire ships. There is a chance the fire ships just killed the house, but oh, Miguel is losing a lot of villagers. He's down to 45. Lan is also at 43, and those war galleys could actually destroy that TC relatively easily. Elephants are in here smashing TaToH, and so is Dogao getting smashed. It's a who dies faster type of scenario right now, because TaToH is under heavy pressure and Dogao is under heavy pressure. Who is gonna die first? Remember that the unit retention for those war galleys are just much better for Dogao than the fire ships for TaToH, but we also have to pay attention to the fact that TaToH is still 51 villagers and Dogao is at 32. But I mean, Malay elephants are scary little beasts, and there isn't really a monastery. Actually, there's a monastery from TaToH to do this, but there are crossbows here, and the crossbows can just kill the monks before they would actually have a chance to convert anything. It seems like Dogao is going to lose his docks though, and that's something to pay attention for. Dogao is going to be able to kill that mangonel, which delays Lan's push here a tiny bit, but Lan now is starting to push Miguel on land as well. Miguel is down to 39 villagers and 25 of them are idle. That's the problem. Miguel isn't really going to be able to replenish this army, and it turns out that... where did the crossbows go? I have no idea where the crossbows are, but they are apparently dead, and that means that there are just a few elephants on the field here, which isn't really going to be enough, because now there are monks for TaToH. There are monks now, and he's even, I think, healing his own battle elephant, is getting his monk juice back, and it seems like it's going to be full focus on Miguel now. Dogao is at 34 villagers, Miguel's at 39. TaToH and Lan are both close to 50. 50 villagers for both players from Spain, less than 40 for both Brazilians, and now mangonels and knights are inside the base of Miguel with absolutely no chance to defend. Spain takes the third game in a row to become a match point. Spain is just stomping Brazil right now, I have to say. There were some debatable decisions here, I have to say, about like the fire ship play for TaToH is a little bit questionable. He might have actually, or he could have actually switched to galleys a little bit earlier, but Lan's defense was very nice, and Lan's aggression was very, very nice as well, and the back dock is paying off here for the landing. It's actually a very, very heavy debate if you do front dock, side dock, or back dock for the landing, and it turns out that back dock is better, because you preserve your fishing eco a little bit longer, and Miguel just lost the fish a little bit faster, and that allowed Lan to have a slight advantage going into Castle Age, and then go for knights. Also, Miguel's eco here was exposed to a few scouts. Miguel lost like 4 or 5 vills that already started to be looking pretty bad, and then Lan's better Castle Age time meant that Dogao was exposed to the mangonels and knights aggression a lot faster than TaToH was, and TaToH had more time to prepare for it. TaToH had more time to get up to Castle Age himself, get some knights out, get some monasteries out on the field. And with that, Spain looking damn sharp over here. And, well, they are going to take game number 3 as well. We are at match point, ladies and gentlemen. one game away from Spain becoming the third place team in 2v2 World Cup. Brazil might still surprise them though, but this is looking pretty bad for Brazil now, because not only did they lose Arabia, they lost 2 of their own home maps, and I'm not 100% sure that they have a better chance of winning on their third home map than they did in the previous ones, because we're going to Valley. Now, truth being told, against Norway, Spain did lose the game on Valley, but so far Spain has been a lot more convincing, let's be honest. Italians and Berbers are gone. Other side, we're gonna have Malay and Japanese gone. So for a map like Valley, you could make an argument for Persians, which would be pretty solid. Koreans could work nicely. Portuguese would also be reasonable. Maybe Lithuanians could also be a fun one to play with, but I think Lithuanians and maybe Goths will be the saves for Chaos Pit. Nomad will be Spanish-Portuguese. Scandi would be Mongol Celts, which leaves us with Mayans Persians for this. Or maybe Persians Koreans, but I feel like I'm not able to allocate Mayans to any of these maps realistically. Mayans for Chaos Pit is waste. Nomad, it's a waste. Sort of wasteful for Scandi as well, because you need a cavalry, so like you could actually go Scandi Mayans and Mongols, but I feel like Celts are just better for that play. Like Spain was actually pretty good against Norway with the Mongol plus Celtic play. Other side, if you go Valley, I think you have to use Khmer or Franks here, regardless of the situation. You have 2 of the best cavalry civs in the game. In 2v2. Some of the highest draft priority cavalry civs, and you haven't used any of them right now. Neither Khmer nor Franks. So something like Vietnamese could be useful for Nomad, but I'm not sure if you are in a situation to be picky about your civs. Incas will go for Chaos Pit, like Incas Byzantines could go Chaos Pit. But I think that right now, you can't afford to have Incas Byzantines on Chaos Pit, because then you're low on archer civs. It's very tricky. I think it's something like Khmer Vietnamese or Franks Vietnamese that it has to be, which would be a very, very strong combination of civs. And, well, let's see if the game is up already. Nope, Team Island game is there yet as a bugged lobby. And yeah, Robo is just sending in the new lobby ID. So we have a couple of minutes until the next game is going to start. So far, Spain has been extremely convincing, and well, it turns out that TaToH and LAN, I think they have slightly exceeded expectations, because a lot of people were saying that Spain is going to be up there in the semifinals, but it's a hard contest. Like, yes, Norway was expected to be there at the end. China was expected, Brazil was expected, Finland was expected, Spain was expected, but this Spanish team didn't really have a lot of team chemistry going into this tournament. LAN and TaToH barely played tournaments together before, and I think they exceeded expectations. So I personally expected Finland to be in the semifinals. If I had to decide if I predict Finland or Spain being in the semifinals, I probably predict Finland before tournament. Here, after what we have seen from Spain, they are absolutely deserving their spot in here, and I think they are one of the teams that really exceeded expectations, because I probably would have ranked them as quarterfinalists / maybe semifinalists, and they are actually playing a third place game, and they made life pretty hard for Norway as well. Alright, we are getting into Valley over here, and we have Lithuanians Mayans versus Franks Byzantines play, which means that Khmer may go unused in this series if Brazil loses this one. Franks and Byzantines is an interesting one, and here are the Omega Trash civilizations, the 2 best civs when you are talking about trash units, the cheap ones for the Byzantines and the strong ones for Lithuanians. However, I actually prefer Lithuanians by a massive margin here. over Franks, especially if you can pick up one of the relics, which you should be able to, because this map is relatively vulnerable, well defendable, so you're likely gonna have a chance that Lan should be able to grab at least 2 relics, I would say. Because on Arabia, it's a little bit harder because there are units running around all the time, scouts, archers, whatsoever. Here, the map is vulnerable enough that we might just see the scouts players once again doing fast feudal into eco and then castle age type of a strategy. But that benefits the Lithuanian player because there is going to be very, very few military units on the field, and it makes it easier for him to pick up relics. Whereas I also like Mayans over Byzantines here by a massive margin. Like, the main problem is that when Mayans get to plumed archers, Byzantines don't have a good answer. They have elite skirms, but you don't want to go skirmisher in 2v2, because the skirmisher don't kill the cavalry of Lithuanians. So, in 2v2, going for trash units isn't really viable, unless the situation is quite extraordinary. So, you need archers, and as an archer civ, Mayans are like light years better than Byzantines. And it's not even like Byzantines can get a much better Imperial Age time, because Byzantines have a cheaper Imperial Age click-up, but on the other hand, Mayans have a so cheap army that they are going to be able to match the Imperial Age time of the Byzantines by a fairly decent margin. Anyways, we're gonna have Brazil on the left side, blue as Miguel in Franks, and we're gonna have the Gao as Byzantines in green. And this is one of the reasons why they pick Lithuanians for this map. Look, oh no way, that's so unlucky for Lan. I think he's gonna find that relic, but you can see why Lithuanians are viable for this one. You basically spawn with one relic very close to your base. I think each player pretty much spawns with one relic here. This should be something that Lan is gonna have no trouble taking away from TaToH. This one is actually something that's a little bit challenging to bring in, but that should still be 2 relics relatively easily for Lan over here. He doesn't see this one right now, but I think he will. Although it's debatable. Because if he was like this, let's say, and not like this to the edge of the map, he might not find this. But let's be honest, I think he's gonna focus heavily on scouting this, and if that... No way. No way. Don't tell me that GOAT is gonna turn back. The GOAT is like 3 tiles away from scouting that relic, and it's not going to. And honestly, that's gonna hurt for Lan if he can't find that relic. I'm pretty sure that they have checked out the map scripts, so they should know that each player starts with a relic very close to his base. So I guess Lan does assume that there is going to be a relic close by, and he's probably gonna look for it. Meanwhile, he's using a goat to block the rhino's path. That's a very, very unlucky relic spawn, by the way. Looking at TaToH's base, TaToH knows about the relic, so Lan should be able to pick this up no trouble. This map is fairly vulnerable, and you can see that Miguel is afraid of drushes, so he's just gonna vote his vultures in completely. So, theoretically, Valley used to be a map where people went to the middle. It's very interesting to see how Valley as a map evolved compared to Wobbly times. I remember Valley being a very aggressive map. Like, players going into the middle, grabbing the zebras. It was like full Mongols map, always, or maybe Japanese if it was Civ draft. So it was Mongols versus Japanese in most cases. And you always went to the middle, milled the huntables, you were fighting for the huntables, and then whoever actually fell behind was just pretty much steamrolled. Nowadays, Valley is like, okay, everybody's just gonna full war, and no one is gonna touch the huntables in the middle. Not a single one of these zebras are being killed in the tournament. That's so weird. This map used to be very aggressive, and people just went out here. Now people are starting to realize that the risk is so great at moving out into the middle that it's just better to stick back home and just chill. Anyways, for Lan, that's still not a relic that he has found. He will eventually find that relic, and the reason why is because at some point he's gonna make a mining camp and he's gonna start coming here with vultures to mine that gold. If this goldman wasn't here, this relic might go unnoticed for the majority of the game. Not sure what happened here to Lan. That villager took quite a significant beating over here. And as expected, everybody is pretty much going to full wars on their base. You can see that the Brazilians are actually scared about potential drush, and they're rolling their villagers on their woodlines. Villagers gonna take down goats, so probably the guy's playing drush FC crossbows here. In the meanwhile, TaToH trying to lame some goats, eat some damage from the TC, but it doesn't really matter because TaToH can jump into his own TC and heal that eagle. Something that you can't do with a standard scout, and he's gonna lame 2 goats away from Miguel. Oh, that's so good. And like, Spain isn't done pressing on. They have a 3 games lead, and it's not like they are, okay, we don't need to lame or whatnot. They're just gonna go in full aggressive mode. Something that Norway also does very frequently. So they're like, okay, no matter how hard we are leading, we're just gonna go for full aggressive play. It turns out that TaToH's Barak's timing is like a late drush. Could even be a Man-at-Arms play, but I wouldn't be a fan of that. Anyways, these villagers do have looms, so Lan isn't gonna be able to kill them, but that's -2 goats for the Brazilians. Now the good news for the Brazilians is that they should be able to secure at least 2 relics for themselves, so the Lithuanian player is going to have a maximum of 3 most likely, but this one is also something that Spain might not be able to secure, so Brazil might end up with 3 relics, because no one actually sees that relic from the Spanish team. Anyways, they are trying to coordinate their moves with the scouts. If you take a look at the pings on the minimap, I guess they're trying to pick off a villager or so that's trying to wall, but I don't think that's really gonna happen. And it is going to be TaToH canceling the drush. This wanted to be a drush FC, but it's going to be cancelled. He realizes that his opponent is fully walled, and they probably are like, okay. By the way, that's actually a Feudal Age scout against the Dark Age scout. Miguel is making a huge mistake over there. He just lost the scout. I feel like he had the HP advantage initially, but he wasn't actually paying attention. And that is another loss for Brazil over there. Miguel's gonna be blind without his scout. But there is a drush on the other side, and Dogel's gonna punish Lan over here for not being fully walled. I actually mentioned this on the Ghost Lake game, that Lan was disturbingly late with his walls. And now he's gonna get punished for it. That's -1 villager from him. The drush from the Gao is actually there. And like Miguel Lan isn't even close to being fully walled, and now he's going scouts. This is a bad play. This is a bad play from Lan. So normally what you're supposed to do is exactly what Miguel is doing. Just go for feudal, go for the eco-heavy approach, and then go to Castle Age and Knights. Lan is making scouts. I'm not sure if this is just a reaction to the drush or this was his initial plan. If it was the initial plan, then it's a bad plan. If it's just a reaction, it's something that had to be done because he made the bad decision of not walling himself in time. But regardless of what happened, it doesn't change the fact that Miguel is gonna be able, or Doga is gonna be able to inflict some damage on Lan, and that Policide is also weak. Saved in the last moment. Now the scouts, with the help of the Eagle, should be able to clean this one up. But Lan had to go for some scouts, not something that he necessarily wanted. It's not the end of the world, because he's Lithuanian, so he started with some extra food. So it's not like he's gonna have a super bad eco because of this, but it's far from ideal. I would say TaToH loses his scout over there, and the militias are still running around. This might force Lan to make one more scout over here. And remember, Lan doesn't see that relic. Lan has no idea about the relic, and if you look at the eco of Miguel, he's already 14 on food, Lan is 9 on food. That is because he's being damaged here by this drush, and that is because he didn't wall in time. This map has evolved into full wall, into boom into Castle Age with the Cabaret player, and just drush FC or naked FC with the Archer player. If you're not walled, you could get punished by a drush, and this is why it's worth it to go for a drush FC, because you might be able to inflict this kind of a damage. And, well, a villager is being pulled to take this fight as well. This should be a cleanup now for Lan over here. Indeed, he's gonna do that. But, I mean, he's 12 on food, and his opponent Miguel is 13 on food already. He's got the Frankish berry bonus. So, especially by the time Lan is gonna be able to fully wall himself, there is going to be quite a lot of time. He's gonna fall behind in Castle Age time, and that's not something that you want. You don't want to fall behind in Castle Age time right now. And honestly, the only good thing that Lan gets out of these scouts is that he can keep scouting. And he should keep scouting. This is a black area. This is a huge black area. And you know that you should be spawning close to relic. You haven't found those relic, right? So you have to. You have to scout for that relic because you're Lithuanians. It is a must. You can't just chill with your scout. And Dogao, up to Castle Age, he is late with the range though. What's up with this? Wait, no, he's just feudal. I got scared. For whatever reason, I saw Castle Age for the guy, and I was like, how is he Castle Age? But no, he's just feudal. Anyways, TaToH already on the way to Castle Age as well, and I feel like we should have Miguel clicking up very soon. See the difference in the ecos? That's exactly the rush damage from Dogao. Lan made a huge mistake of not being walled over there. And he's still looking for relics. They haven't found this relic, I believe. They haven't found this relic. And with Lithuanians, you want to use the relics as an advantage, and that's not something that they were able to do so far. I guess Lan right now is just scouting at Miguel, see what he's doing. And I think he's going to soon realize that Miguel is up. Lan isn't very far away from clicking up, but that's gonna be like a solid 50% difference. And there's all this skateboarding coming in here for Miguel. Lan is going to see that Miguel is up, because the second stable is a clear indication that Miguel is up. He sees the first stable. Let's see if he sees the second one. He could just move a little bit more. Once again, bashing your way through the walls is not something that you want to do. Just scout. Especially with Lithuanians, every bit of information matters, especially that relic. That relic is still missing. Oh, they're trying to get the TaToH's archers in here. That could change things a little bit. There is a scout coming in with +1 defense for Miguel. If Lan clicks that scout, he's gonna see the +1 defense. When you see the +1 defense, you know that your opponent is up in this case, because there is no point making a Feudal Age +1 defense when you're not making scouts. So, because of that, they should know that Miguel is up, and I'm fairly certain that's why TaToH is retreating. Castle Age on the way as well for everybody. Lan is going to be the last person getting up. And he's gonna actually double layer his woes over here. He kinda has to, because he's gonna fall behind in Castle Age time compared to Dogao, who is already sending for the first batch of soon-to-be crossbows. TaToH's gonna have to help his teammate here, because Lan could actually be in trouble. This is a weak spot, this is a significant weak spot, and you don't want to be forced to make a defensive tower. Let's see when Lan spots those archers. Lan has no idea about it just yet, and TaToH is back at home, so TaToH's gonna need some time until he gets in here. And, well, Lan is now going to see the crossbows, so TaToH's gonna have to move immediately, indeed. So does he. And Market Wall is the exact step here for Lan. Just make sure that you delay it a tiny bit. TaToH is actually very close, and TaToH with the cheap archers, it really shows in the archer numbers right now. Dogao's got 10 archers, TaToH's got 15. And now this scout is also going to pick off. Knights are on the way as well from Miguel with +2 defense already. Remember, Lan doesn't see this relic. So Lan's knights aren't really going to be spectacular by any means. In fact, I don't think that Lan actually went for bloodlines either. We'll soon see, I guess. The crossbows from TaToH will be in here though. No defense upgrade on them just yet. But they're going to have the hill. And they're also a lot more cost efficient because they're quite cheap compared to the opponent's units. Nice meat shield by Miguel over there on top of those crossbows. And there is no ballistics. This is a fight that TaToH doesn't really want to take, but he might have to. He's going to try to run away, but at this point, you're just trying to trade your crossbows to the crossbows of Dogao. And so far, this is by far the best map, or the worst game. What am I talking about? Best map makes zero sense here. There's actually bloodlines for Lan. So far, this is definitely the worst game of Spain. They're being pretty much outplayed over here very, very heavily. So the micro here from Miguel and Dogao were great. Lan actually misplayed by a massive margin with the late wars, got punished with the drush, and now TaToH lost a lot of units because he had to help his teammate. 3 kills to 14 deaths. I feel like TaToH is in a tough spot right now. He is on 3 TCs though, and that's not something to underestimate, because 3 TCs with Lan is gonna have to lead that market. I'm not sure if he did. He didn't. Gets a TC up on the gold mine, should be fine now. He's got knights on the field, and he's gonna TC over here helping out as well. There shouldn't really be a lot of damage done on his eco with the help of the TC fire. He might lose a few wheels though, and there is considerable amount of idle time. But the scary thing here still for Brazil is that TaToH could get to Obsidian Arrow Orbs anytime in the game if he has a strong eco. So you don't necessarily want to let Mayans just boom like crazy. That being said, there's only 6 villagers on foot for Lan, so these guys are actually doing quite significant damage, and TaToH's gonna have to bring in his own crossbows to battle this one once again. Still no ballistics for TaToH, just getting the university up here, but the mill is gone. So really some damage has been inflicted on Lan's eco, but TaToH sky-high villager count, 55. So yes, DaToH is actually putting on a huge pressure on the face of LAN, but it's triple ranges with 1 TC play, only 2 TCs as well for Miguel. So it's not like their armies, or it's not like their ecos are great. Their armies are nice, and this could actually be a nice raid from DaToH, something that he was exceptionally good at doing, but his crossbows weren't set on no attack stance. When you're trying to sneak like that, you probably want no attack stance on your crossbows, and this way they don't actually attack houses like that. Because now it revealed it for LAN that, oh boy, there is actually trouble coming my way. They're gonna head to TaToH's base. There is enough crossbows for TaToH here to hold this one, and reinforcements will be coming in from the other side as well. These crossbows could get surrounded here pretty easily. They're trying to do the exact same thing that Spain did to them in the previous games, just try to go for the production buildings. For now, unsuccessful at that. By the way, LAN isn't getting anything out of his Lithuanians right now. Not a single relic picked up from him. And it really hurts that he doesn't see this one. And honestly, I blame LAN for not seeing that, because, yeah, of course it's unlucky, but that relic could also be in this corner, and when you know that the map spawns in a manner that you have one relic close to your base, you should be looking for it. That's something that he should have done with that scout, because he could easily grab a +1 attack right now, and it doesn't seem like he's gonna be left with a lot of relics. LAN 50 villagers, that matches the villager count of Miguel, but TaToH has a considerable advantage over DaToH. Over here, DaToH without armor, TaToH is already at +1 armor. His army is also cheaper, but no ballistics still for TaToH, I believe. He has a university, but I don't think that he has ballistics. Those archers are just so inaccurate. Here comes the surrounding move, though, and if you can get a good surround on those crossbows... that was a bit of a miscoordination from Spain. Some more crossbows coming in here for DaToH. It really hurts TaToH that there's a huge hill in front of his base. What is TaToH up to? He's getting ballistics right now, and LAN, on the other hand, is kind of getting his cavalry torn apart. Then he's just running for his life, and he's losing way too much precious cavalry. Meanwhile, still no relics being picked up by LAN. Unable to see this one. Eventually, he's going to see it once he moves out to that gold mine. But that's going to be late quite heavily. 31 crossbows here for TaToH, 25 for DaToH, but there is quite a lot of knights supporting, and just as much as Spain was able to kill the production of Brazil in game number 1, Brazil might be able to kill Spain's production over here. But TaToH has a +1 armor on those archers, has thumbring, and has ballistics. I'm not sure if DaToH has that, and it's going to be much hard for DaToH to replenish his army as well, because he's 1 TC. I wonder if DaToH wants to play 1 TC imp here. I think the urgency is there for Spain to actually do some damage. There is an overchop on this wood line. There is an overchop, and the LAN's knights could get straight into the base of Miguel over there. I think they will. I think LAN just right-clicked inside the base of Miguel. Final second quick call, saving the day for Miguel. That would have been a disaster. Now, that means that this is going to be a good surround here by LAN, and he's going to be able to kill a batch of crossbows. Nice reroll over here, and defensive siege workshop by LAN. TaToH by far the best villager count. Remember that, like, Mayans fully boomed are extremely dangerous. This is going to be a cleanup over here on the left side. LAN still unaware of the relics, but he's got some knights running around here as well. He could try to intercept reinforcements that are coming from DaToH. That would be a little bit helpful. Here is a siege workshop up, and somehow a knight actually got in here. No idea how this knight actually get in here, but this is getting worse and worse for LAN. There's a knight inside his eco that's gonna prevent the second layering, and these guys... Is there a hole somewhere around here? Or what? Excuse me? No way. It's just a model looking like it is bigger. I don't blame LAN for that at all. This looks like it's closed, but it's not. It's the building model actually being bigger than the actual shape of the building. And now LAN is gonna get smashed. So now it's the typical scenario of all hope is in the hands of the Mayan player to carry this one with Obsidian Arrow Arbs. Oh man, this hurts so much for Spain. And not gonna lie, they get punished for playing bad here. Like, LAN has played his worst game so far. He really got punished for not voling, kind of poor scouting as well, and from that point on it just snowballed. He picked Lithuanians here, but he's not playing like Lithuanians should. But TaToH is up to Imp. There is actually the Imperial Age coming in as well for Dogao, but Dogao is 1 TC. He isn't really going to be able to match the Arbalest numbers of the Mayan player, and that is going to be all the Knights Molten. I think they're just letting Lan die here. They know exactly that the only chance they have is full Obsidian Arrows, but they already have Obsidian Arrows very soon, and those are just crossbows. You need to keep the crossbow numbers up high here. But if you can go in and kill the stables, that's already a huge achievement. And, like, Miguel is busy killing Lan, but by the time he gets back, that's going to be a lot of crossbows. You still can't afford to lose those crossbow numbers. That's a must. Like, you have to be able to preserve those into Arbalest. That's why you usually do Obsidian Arrow Orbs and not Obsidian Arrow Crossbows, because Orbs would melt the Knights, whereas Crossbows do not. And if those Knights get back home and clean up the Crossbows, all hope is lost. But stables are going down very, very rapidly over here, and it's not like Spain is giving up on this just yet. It appears that Tumbling is coming in here for Dogao right now, and they are going to try and push TaToH here. TaToH going for more and more ranges, 12 on stone, and they're melting the TCs of Miguel as well. Lan is at 50 wheels, Miguel is at 63, and it's not like Miguel is gonna have amazing villager count in a matter of minutes. Obsidian Arrows once again proving their worth, and it really shows why Mayans are one of the most banned civilizations in the tournament. Because that's exactly what they can do. And now the Knights are coming back. TaToH is trying to save the Arbs, or crossbows, until he gets Arb. Arb, Bracer, and Chemistry here for TaToH. He isn't gonna be able to afford all of them. He's gonna have to balance his eco a tiny bit. He's actually able to squeeze in Arb and Bracer. And Chemistry, he could actually buy himself Chemistry. And now they're going for the Imp player. Why are they going for the Imp player? They're going for the Imp player because they know that if Dogao gets slung by Miguel now, Dogao can match the Arbalest numbers of TaToH, and they just trade evenly. So you want to finish off the Arbalest player as much as possible, and I feel like this is still tricky for Spain, because TaToH's got insane Arbalest numbers. However, I mean, Dogao's got just as good Arbalest numbers himself. +2 defense as well for Dogao, just +1 for TaToH. So the only thing that TaToH really has as an advantage over Dogao is really just villager numbers. Chemistry is on the way for TaToH, still no +2 defense, but that's a next batch of Obsidian Arrow Orbs, and the cheap army and the stronger eco of Mayans could still pay off here. Because at this point, you probably lose that 40 Orbs against 51, we'll try to take an even engagement, but you're bringing in the new Orbs to finish off the other player. And these Orbs are gonna start melting villagers from Miguel, dropping Miguel down to a very, very disturbingly low villager count once again. It appears that Lan is gonna try and reboom here. For now, and see these Orbs? They're melting the castle, they're melting the TC, and Miguel is still having a relatively safe gold income, but now his villager count is actually lower than Lan's vill count. But there is Arbalest coming in the way, coming on the way towards Lan's base as well. It's hard to say, but you could make an argument for Lan switching into skirms now, because the majority of the opponent's army will be probably Arbs, so you can actually try to make an argument for skirms. Meanwhile, TaToH is massively mismicroing this one. He's running away from the Mangonel, but he just pretty much slaughtered here. I don't think he killed a single Arb, and at the end of the day, he lost like 10 Arbs before actually taking any good engagements. He has +2 defense, but he also has Chemistry, something that Dogao does not have, and also Dogao is actually microing those units pretty aggressively, so military counts are still pretty even though, and that's the scary part. These Obsidian Orbs will just melt the base of Miguel, and that's the difference between the two nations. Apparently my overlay has frozen, so I can no longer give any comments about military numbers. And, well, it turns out that Miguel's base is now under heavy, heavy pressure, and he's just gonna get absolutely massacred. And the difference is that now I feel like Lan is back in track, or back on track, trying to get back into the game, whereas Miguel is just about to die. And that's the difference between Obsidian Arrow Orbs and, like, no Obsidian Arrow Orbs. Because these Orbs cannot actually do damage to Lan's buildings, but TaToH can do damage to Miguel's buildings, and I mean, this is a fight that TaToH is gonna lose, but he's got the villager numbers advantage over Dogao, and he's got the cheaper army, plus Miguel is more dead than Lan is. So the combination of this should mean that that's actually a very, very nice round from Miguel, and you want to lower the opponent's Arb numbers, not the Knight numbers, but I mean, Miguel is so dead here that I struggle to see the way back for Brazil. Because yes, that's a big blob of Arbs now, for Dogao. Once again, the overlay has crashed, so I can't actually let you guys know about the exact villager count and military counts, but I mean, Lan is actually doing a pretty nice job rebooming. There is a nice counterattack here from Dogao, picks off some villagers, and Dogao still has a huge blob of ARPs here, but I feel like if Miguel gets to Imperial and gets to Cavalier, this game is gonna be over. There is going to be a TC in the middle from Dogao, so he's gonna grab the gold over there, might even grab the Huntables. I think that this relic is being, well, still not scouted by Lan. Once again, overlay is just not operational right now, so we're not gonna be able to see the Fog of War for the players. That's actually a very, very nice raid from Miguel over here, and really now it is in the hands of Lan to do something. Because he's doing full boom, but he needs to start becoming a factor, because Miguel is kind of half dead, but at least he's contributing something with the raids of his knights, and right now, Lan isn't contributing anything. It shouldn't be full Sling TaToH now. It should be him if, like, just by looking at his vill count, it's probably 110-ish villagers, and now stables are coming, so I guess now Lan is coming back into this game, and if he can get to Imperial and get to Cavalier, he's gonna be able to finish the game off, and now this should be the moment when he's gonna see this relic over here. I think TaToH actually got the other relic in this corner. Yeah, TaToH's got that relic. And TaToH is gonna try and pick that relic up, but he got sniped by a knight over there. Anyways, Orbs once again pressuring Lan's base, delaying his progress towards more stables, and he could still be exposed to knights raiding him. But if you bring all the Orbs from the Gao to the left side, TaToH could move in, and you might not believe it, but Obsidian Arrow Orbs are actually gonna melt castles as well. Even though you don't really want to fight uphills against Orbs and castles, there are quite a lot of scrims on the field as well for TaToH, and like the castle's gonna die to our Obsidian Arrow Orbs, especially if they sit beneath it. But it appears that they will disengage. Knights will try to bash their way into the base of Lan. So, like, Lan needs to start making army and needs to start being a factor, because right now Miguel is contributing more to this fight than Lan is, and Miguel is, I mean, like half dead. Lost so much of his farming eco. And TaToH getting in the middle as well, trying to get the relic once again. I think that knight is just gonna kill that monk once again. Still on the knights from Lan. I wish the overlay wasn't bugged, because I want to see the upgrades on those knights. And I want to see if we're going to have... That's Imp now. I can't see it on the overlay because the overlay is bugged, but you can see the building architecture changing. This is the moment when Lan reached Imperial. So now it has to be Cavalier. And that should be finishing the game, because that's still Castle Age buildings from Miguel, which means that Miguel is still in Castle and he's probably going to stay there for some more time. It doesn't seem like he has an impressive villager count, probably like 70-80-ish is his villager count. And now, Lan needs to start contributing, like, heavily. Latest, Cavalier, whatever he can field, he's going to have to start being aggressive. Plumed Archer switch from TaToH, I like that. When you're talking about Archer vs Archer, I mentioned that Plumed Archers will be able to dominate the Lithuanian Arbs, or what Lithuanian Arbs, the Byzantine Arbs here pretty easily. And Byzantines will be forced to make skirms, but those skirms are not good against cavalry. So Obsidian Arrow Arbs work nicely until you can melt buildings with them, but once you prepare for a late stage of the game, you probably prefer to have Plumed Archers, and that's exactly what TaToH is switching for. Nice little Orb raid coming around to the back of the Gao's base. And a big Orb push coming in the middle, which could once again smash quite a lot of the Gao's eco. That's the very, very dangerous potential of Mayans, that they can just get a bunch of Obsidian Arrow Orbs to the back of your base, and in 5 seconds you have no base. Anyways, it seems like this relic still goes unnoticed by Lan. Very unlucky for him that he's 0 relics with Lithuanians. That's not the way that you're supposed to be playing Lithuanians. He should have been scouting very aggressively towards relics for the entire game. And, well, technically TaToH has 2 relics. I think TaToH should be giving those 2 relics to Lan. I mean, Lan has a monk here, and TaToH should just give those 2 relics to Lan, because Lan needs those relics, like ASAP. And I think now he should see that relic. Anyways, we're gonna have Obsidian Arrows Orbs coming in here. That should be 3 stables dead. Or a TC dead immediately, with the villagers inside as well. TaToH not reacting, not reacting, not reacting. Not reacting, now he reacts. TC is gone. There, that's it. That's all the villagers going down as well. And I feel like Spain is in much better spot still. I mean, they are setting up trade at least to a certain extent. And TaToH did on Garrison the relics. TaToH doesn't have relics inside this monastery anymore. And here are the relics for LAN. Now he's got the relics. Now he's gonna have Cavalier very soon because he's Imp. I feel like this is not gonna be that clear. Because Miguel is also an Imperial now. So Miguel is gonna have quite a lot of Cavalier on the field as well. There is no Cavalier in yet for LAN. So if LAN is able to get Cavalier, especially with the +2 attack he's gonna grab, and he should have +3 now, right? Yeah, he's gonna have +3. I think that's enough to win this game for Spain. They have trade set up, and they're gonna have +3 on those Cavaliers soon. And I feel like free relics is where it really starts to matter. But it's Paladin. It's Paladin already. They're trying to snipe that castle. That's a lot of Paladin from Miguel. And, I mean, a lot of Paladin from Miguel. Brazil doesn't have trade right now. Cavalier is in. And they do have a very, very good upgrades on those Cavalier. But those Arbs will just melt completely. They're trying to siege that castle right now. More and more Cavalier coming in here for land. But he needs Paladin himself. And that's a lot of Arbs that just got slaughtered by TaToH. So, TaToH now needs Plumed Archer numbers, but to make Plumed Archers you need to use the castles, and you are using the castles to make trebs. And honestly, now it might be going for a gold attrition game. Oh, LAN, that could be so good! If he can sneak some stables in here, and just get some light cav out to raid the gold eco of their opponent, that's gonna be perfect. And if these guys actually get upgraded to Paladin, they will be much better than the Frankish Paladin. It's going to be +3 attack. Left side seems relatively peaceful over here, but, I mean, you need much better numbers from LAN over here. And I'm surprised that with the eco that he has, he isn't flooding Paladins. Because he even has gold miners around. And that's a lot of Paladins coming in here. Plumed Archers could still hop into the castle. And that's quite a lot of Plumed Archers. And here come the Cavalier going in to snipe the Trebuchet. Nice play over there, but that's a lot of Paladin rampaging the eco of TaToH over there. 2 Trebs get sniped down. Orbs will have to retreat, or at least some of them. Paladins still chasing the Plumed Archers here. TaToH is losing quite significant numbers. LAN indeed adding stables. Even a monastery here. He wants to grab that +4 for himself now. He wants to grab that +4. But that's a lot of Paladins inside the eco. LAN still with Cavalier. It takes a lot of time to get the Paladin upgrade in, but Spain has trade and Brazil does not. So Brazil is relying on gold mining here. This might be one big push from Brazil, and if it stalls out, it might be over. They have to make it count and kill a lot of trade with it, because they are behind in trade numbers. And look at that, even Quick Wars from LAN over here, trying to grab that relic as much as possible. A Cataphract out, but these stables will be so annoying for Brazil. And if Brazil doesn't have trade, they are not going to have the gold income to spam those units out there. Left side is still peaceful. Right side, we're going to have a huge amount of Paladin though. Like an insane amount. Paladin is in though for LAN as well. TaToH, large amount of Plumed Archers on the field as well. I don't think that Brazil has enough to win this fight. That's a lot of Plumed Archers, and that's a lot of Paladins with the +3 from relics. So this should be a winnable fight for Spain over here, but the Paladins get a good surround. Castle is going up over here. TC is helping to a certain extent, and I think the castle is gonna go up. Paladins are still flooding in for LAN here, and I feel like I don't see the reinforcements coming in at that fast for Miguel. Miguel is coming out with some Paladins, but the reinforcement flood seems to be better for LAN, although now it's light cavs indeed. Brazil is forced back, and the longer the game goes, the better it is for Spain now. Apparently that relic was stolen by one of the Brazilian players, and 2 stables went up, the other 3 got denied. Now quick calls happened for LAN over there, but just a few light cav into a trade could still cripple Brazil. And remember, Brazil is running very, very low on gold. They just don't have any trade going on. Whereas for Spain, they do have trade. One of the best games in the tournament so far. In fact, this is, as one-sided as it is, this series is delivering some of the best games of the tournament. This game is excellent. The Ghost Lake game was very, very swingy as well. So really just excellent games throughout the series over here. A castle on this hill. This might actually get trapped down or even denied by some Paladins. But really, look at that blob of Paladins. And Miguel isn't able to replace his Paladins because he doesn't have trade. And these light cavs, even if it's just a few light cavs, they're doing so much damage. And it's so weird. I feel like this series is summarized. Relic is in the monastery. It is in the monastery. Indeed. I just didn't see the flag. Which means it's +4. Full upgraded Lithuanian Paladin with 4 relics. And this series is kind of characterized by the fact that in both the Ghost Lake game and both the on both the Valley game, so this one, Miguel has made some pretty bad mistakes. Like Ghost Lake game losing the MTC, here in this series, or in this game, not walling early enough. But after that, he comes back pretty strong. Thanks for the bits, Hayuna. Indeed, those paladins are just gonna clap everything. And really, this play here from LAN is delaying Brazil to trade so much. I mean, look at the trade cards. It's like a few trade cards for the Gao and very few for Miguel. And this is why Miguel has like 10 paladin on the field, and this is why LAN has like 50 paladin on the field. Now that being said, Brazil actually went full stone walls, something that wasn't really done by Spain. In fact, Spain got 2 castles in their face, and these are Byzantine castles. And I think that what the guy wants to do is now siege ram push his opponent here. Go Halberdier siege ram, and just because like there is no TaToH here to help out for LAN. So Halberdier siege ram in this local area could actually work to push. This is not over just yet. This is not over just yet, but I feel like the main problem is going to be Miguel's food eco now. Look at where is Miguel's food eco at? There is just none. Light cav rates from LAN coming in constantly, and really, after some bad mistakes, LAN is doing an excellent job. Like, LAN is doing an absolutely marvelous job, and they're trying to bash through his archer range to get through the walls. Plumed archers, they need to turn around though, they need to take this fight, but does it matter? Because light cavs are once again in trade, and Brazil isn't able to get to the trade of Spain. Spain has a much better trade by a massive margin, and that's going to show in large amount of paladins on the field very soon. Big fight coming up, and they just want to get the paladins onto the trade. They don't care about losing numbers, they just want to keep sending paladins into the trade and prevent Miguel from making his own paladin. That's all about it. You just suicide runs on the trade. That's basically the whole story. Now for Spain, dive in. These paladins do insane damage, and it's pretty hard to clean them up as well. And Dogao's army is much slower moving than the plumed archers and the paladins of TaToH and LAN. So the mobility advantage is on the side of Spain, and they can just cripple that trade. Look at that. There's like barely any trade for Brazil. Much better for Spain. And they are cleaning up this castle here as well, just like this entire forward aggression. And if you look at the paladin numbers on the field, it's just looking way better for TaToH and LAN. I feel like TaToH and LAN, after some scary moments in this game, they're going to 4-0 this one, but honestly, it's so close. I mean, Brazil didn't play bad in this. In fact, Brazil played very well in this game. They barely made any major mistakes. But Spain is just always able to grab something to climb back into a game that was actually looking pretty bad for them. The Ghost Lake game, where the Tarkans just smashed Dogao. This game, where Spain was able to establish trade, and really, LAN's few stables here actually delayed Brazil so much at establishing trade. And, well, now we have some light cavs in here, but Lithuanian paladins should be able to clean it one up. Also, a lot of castles protecting the trade, so it's really not easy to kill them. And, I mean, look at that blob of paladins. That's like 40 paladins with +8 attack. That's not something that you're gonna stop. Well, it's just +7 now because this monastery is gone. But, I mean, still, +7 attack. And TaToH sees the blood in the water. They are gonna drop a castle in the face of Miguel over here. Brazil could go 4-0 here. Getting 4-0'd by Spain. Apparently, there is going to be a ram and light cav push here on the trade. But I think that at this point, TaToH is just trying to get some walls up here. Delay it as much as possible because they just need to make sure they don't die very hard to Brazil, and they will be able to finish the games off here with, like, if those paladins get in here, they will clean up everything. And there's also a huge amount of plumed archers on the field. And game? Okay, that was weird. My game froze for a moment, but it's back, so I guess nothing really happened. And, well, if those paladins get a good surround on those arbs, you can say goodbye to those arbs here as well. And look at the right side. And you can see that Miguel's making light cav. Those light cav are actually pretty weak as well, because Frankish Light Cav isn't amazing. And, well, Paladins nowhere near. Like, Miguel is able to get some Paladins out because now he has some trade operational, but I think it's too late now. By the time he gets to good Paladin numbers, it's over. And remember that Plumed Archers are amazing at sniping trade as well. They might just completely run around, snipe trade, instead of trying to engage those Paladins. In fact, look at that. TaToH splits his army, keeps some of them here to occupy them, and sends the other one to the corner. And that is indeed a GG from Brazil. Spain 4-0ing Brazil here in the third place game. Absolutely amazing performance by Spain. And not gonna lie, they made some mistakes, especially Lan had some questionable decisions and plays in the Ghost Lake game and this one, but he always was able to come back from it, and that's, I think, a huge achievement for Lan. He made some mistakes, but he made up for them. He made up for them by grabbing the relic over here, by making the stables here and delaying the opponent's trade, by raiding the Fudic of Miguel to absolute destruction, and at the end of the day, I feel like both TaToH and Lan played extremely well. Dogao and Miguel played very, very well as well, but I think this 4-0 isn't necessarily showing the entire result, because it was 4-0 with two very close games. The Ghost Lake game was super close, and this game was also very, very close. Unfortunately, I won't be able to show the stats from this game because the overlay is dead. But you can imagine that Spain has had a lot better economy than Brazil did. So especially the gold income is going to be massively significant. And by the end of the game, Lam was able to grab the relics, and that pretty much finished the game off here. Spain routing Brazil to a 4-0 ending of the third place match. So that means that Spain is going to be the third place team in 2v2 World Cup, earning $3,000 for that team, and Brazil is going to end the series with a 4-0 defeat. $2,200 go into their pockets with the prize money. Congratulations to both teams. This is the end of the third place match.